Good morning, everybody. If you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started this morning, I'd like to make one short comment. I know all of us are normally always carrying some cell phones with us, and we're in a business atmosphere here that I personally don't feel like a cell phone ought to be used or available during the meeting itself until we're into a break, and we normally break around 10, and if it's a longer meeting, we normally break a little bit later, but really appreciate it, if we abide by those type of rules, kind of use our phone during our breaks and not be looking at it or not be texting or anything during the meeting itself. So, with that being said, I think we've all had the opportunity to look at our minutes, entertain a motion to the approve the minutes as written.
I'll make the motion.
Tom has moved. Entertain a second.
I'll second.
Cody is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Consent agenda. We have 12 of them this time. Move to authorize and direct chairman to sign 12 tax abatements to the county tax roll in an amount of $10,049.90. And I appreciate Connie being down. A couple of them, Connie, like correction for 2019 to remove Lawrence Bright from ownership. Ads will follow, but we don't see the ads, do we?
No, you're seeing the abatements, but we're turning around and adding them right back on and correcting the name. Normally we just do it for the following year, but this year the treasurer's office has had us do some abatements, and then we're just turning around and re-adding them. The amounts are still there on most of them, but it's just correcting the ownership.
Okay. And I know we've seen that before, but
Right.
because we got some sizable dollar amounts this
Right.
time.
Right. We're gonna be adding those right back on with the correct names. Normally we just do it for the following year, but this year the treasurer's office is having us do the add and abate, so that's why you're seeing all these this year.
Okay. And this all works with you, Karen?
Yes, because we're cleaning up our tax
Yeah.
roll. These are things that were changed not in just the last month or so. These are things that were, have some name error or something from earlier in the year, and we're just trying to get it cleaned up so that way, if we clean it up for this year, next year, we'll have a cleaner tax roll.
Some of it's been this way for a long time.
Yeah.
We'll just fix it.
I know there's a couple of them there, sizable amount, correction for ownership for tax year 2019. So those are things that just
They'll
are
be abated, but they'll
totally
be added
getting
back on.
cleared up, and they'll be correct for 2020.
Yes, sir.
Okay, probably should have asked a couple of these questions before, but we just assumed that everything was in place, which they are.
Right, they are,
So-
yeah. I just want to clarify what was going on.
Okay.
Okay?
Anybody have
Thank
any
you.
questions for Connie?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming in. Entertain a motion to have the chairman sign these 12 tax abatements.
I'll make the motion.
Tom has moved. Entertain a second.
I'll second.
Fred second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Under miscellaneous motions, I think we've got 3. Move to authorize direct chairman to sign the memorandum to department heads regarding budget year-end transfers. And we all realize we got transfers at the end of the year to kind of clean up some accounts, and Angie's asking those to be in by December the 17th. at 5 o'clock, so.
I put that in there.
Okay.
It's just the normal
Just a
memo
moment.
that we send out
Yeah.
before budget time.
I'll make a motion.
Cody has moved, entertain a second.
Second.
Tom is second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carried 5-0. Next, miscellaneous motion moved to approve the letters of appreciation by the board and the Chamber of Commerce gift certificates in the amount of $20 each as a Christmas gift for county employees, appointed boards, district court, and extension employees.
I'll move.
Fred has moved, entertain a second.
I'll second.
Cody is second, any discussion?
Shouldn't the word after board should be for Chamber of Commerce gift certificates in the amount of $20 instead of and Chamber of Commerce gift certificates?
I'm sorry, Bob, I didn't hear.
Shouldn't the word after board and, shouldn't that be for? Because if you read it the way it says, move to approve the letters of appreciation by the board and Chamber of Commerce gift certificates. Should it be for Chamber of letter of appreciation by the board for Chamber of Commerce gift certificates? In other words, the chamber has really nothing to do with it.
Yeah, 'cause it is ours and not the chamber.
It's the taxpayers.
Yep. Be all right to make that small correction in there, Fred?
Yes.
Cody? Okay, so noted, Denise. Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. Next miscellaneous motion, move to authorize and direct chairman to sign the letter of support for the grant of COF Training Services, Inc. to the Kansas Department of Transportation for operating funds for transportation services of handicapped consumers in Coffee, Osage, and Franklin County. Entertain a motion to approve.
So they just sent a letter requesting support for their grant that they do.
I don't recall, but imagine it's the same thing.
It's the same thing
Same
that they
thing we've
do
done
every
annually.
time.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Tom has moved, entertain a second.
I'll second.
Fred is second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Sorry.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. Okay, our next, emergency management. Russell, what do you have for us today?
Oh, it's been 2 months since I was able to, schedule-wise, give a monthly report, so you should have two months in there. Have a few specific things to talk about, if nobody has any questions in general on the report. The, one thing that's coming up that we go to sometimes, and sometimes we don't, is the top workshop, and I'm drawing a blank. What is that, Matt? Training and
Yeah, I'm not sure what it stands for, but
Train-
it's the NRC.
training something and planning.
Yeah, it's where we set the schedule for the
Yeah.
drills coming up. It's a chance to interface with the regulatory commission.
Mhm. And on that agenda for that, they put a discussion panel talking about iPaws. And since we're the first ones to actually use it, they have, we anticipate them wanting us to set on that panel. And so I just bringing that up to the commission that we may go down to that unless the commission doesn't want us to for some reason. And it's at Arlington, Texas at the NRC headquarters, or area headquarters. And so,
When is that again?
it is,
First week of February.
yeah, first week of February. I didn't write the date down on it. But I could have looked it up on my calendar, but, yeah, first week of February, so. Don't know for sure that we're gonna go, like I said, I went to them in the past, I don't always go to them, just depends on what's on their agenda. So unless there's a reason the commission doesn't want us to go, we'll see in our correspondence with them whether we think it's worth our time. The other thing is the courthouse generator that we put in a year ago, February. Its warranty period is getting ready to expire. So, excuse me, if we want to extend that warranty out on that generator, we need to do it now. It's $1,537 to extend it out to a full 60 months from the original date of purchase. And that gets you, or 60 months up to 2,500 hours. Like, I think we are just now pushing 100 hours on it from just running it every Wednesday for an hour and when the power goes out. And that's a zero deductible extended warranty. So, with the way things are with electronics and everything nowadays, I think it's probably the thing to do. It's under the 3,000, so I can do it without a motion. But I was looking for a thumbs up if.
What's replacement cost on the generator itself?
It cost us approximately $30,000 to $35,000 to put in.
Sounds like a good investment to me.
That's what I'm thinking. So unless the commission doesn't want to do that, I'm probably going to go ahead and do that.
Mhm.
Or technically, it would be Angie. I'm going to recommend Angie because it's a courthouse, and so it would be technically under her. So, but I'll recommend to her to go ahead and that we go ahead and do it.
That's less than 5% of the purchase price. To me, that's probably not all that bad.
Yeah, that's what I was.
for 60 months total.
Yeah, from the date of purchase.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Got the consensus from the commission to go ahead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I think we've already talked about that. I just put on the reminder for January 15th. The ALICE training, I assume we're gonna do it. I talked with Angie a little bit the other day, and Mike, as far as close the courthouse, feed them lunch, to keep them here basically. They can start giving their lecture while they're eating, and then just like we did last time. That's everybody, yeah. Okay, and, does the commission have any preference on what we have for lunch? Just whatever.
I don't think anybody's got any preference, so
Okay.
whatever you bring to us, I'm sure it'll
Okay.
be considered.
The other things were on the our radio tower that I've been talking to you about, and that I've been talking back and forth with US Cellular about. It sounds like upon further investigation, they're kind of scared off about this spot because of the underground diesel tank. I brought to you before about the other lots, and like there's this lot up here north. I've presented that to them, and they've expressed a little bit of interest. My thoughts are, and that property's not on the tax rolls right now. My thought is make the proposal to them. Hey, you put the tower there, and put it up and get it constructed, and the county sell you that lot for $1, and then it goes back on the tax rolls. I don't know if that's something the commission, that's just my idea. Not mess with a rental agreement and all that, just once they build something on it, get it back on the tax rolls. But what does the
I know the
commission?
city is not worrying about it because of a replacement tower here, but if we move it up there, is the city gonna go through zoning and everything else then?
That'd be between, I don't think so. If we own it while they build it, and then we give it to them.
We might wanna check that out before we do too much.
Well, I don't even want to approach it if the commission's not interested in it. That's why I'm asking the commission.
I'm interested in it, that's fine with
Yeah.
me, 'cause it's just sitting up there doing nothing, but he
Find
does.
out. Cities,
Yeah. Would ask
he
the
does
city.
have a valid.
If the commission's okay with me offering that to them, you know, and further researching it, then I will, but I wanna make sure the commission would be okay with that idea.
How large an area is it?
One city lot,
Yeah, it's not very
I
constructive.
forget,
I know where it's at, I just didn't know.
I forget, was it 100 by 150?
Yeah, something like that. I
It's
can't
basically
remember
a city lot,
Yeah, it's small, man.
yeah.
Pretty well the consensus of the commission to allow Russell to proceed ahead.
Okay. And then the other thing, that we've been working on, Monica and I and then the emergency services group is the replacement of our fire ambulance law enforcement radios. We got our initial proposal back on the RFP that we put out for Motorola. They didn't answer some of the questions in the RFP, and I've had a chance to talk to some of you about this. But I sent it back to them and said, hey, you didn't answer these, like, 3 questions. One was guaranteed pricing over the next 3 to 5 years. And then the other one was break out installation costs, because depending on how we proceed, you know, if the fire department has installation costs, you know, obviously we need to know those costs. Police department, ambulance, so on and so forth. We gotta be able to break those out, and they just all put them in there in a lump sum number. Same way with the individual prices of the radios, whether it's a vehicle mounted radio or a handheld radio or dispatch equipment. They just lumped all the handheld radios in together. Well, we gotta know individual prices, so that, assuming that the commission has the fire district reimburse the county for their radios and ambulance and police departments, so on and so forth, obviously we gotta know individual prices. And so we put that back to them. Monica and Tasha and I had a conference call with Motorola, the Motorola representatives, and then talking with them, what we were kind of going off of is Johnson County has a current contract with them where they can continuously buy radios from them at 40% off list price. And so we assumed, and you know what happens when you assume, that we would have the same kind of thing. They would offer us our contract, we'd have our pricing, and it'd be good for 2-3 years, whatever they're guaranteed it for. Well, on what they offered is basically buy everything up front. They were gonna do around 46% off this price, which is better than what Johnson County got, but they were only guaranteeing that till the end of January. So if the guarantee on past that was gonna be the state contract price, which is 27% off list price. So I'm not here asking the commission for any decision or anything, just giving you an update. We're waiting on them to send back these answers to these questions with an updated proposal. And, but that's what we're looking at right now is the steep discount would basically be buying everything up front. Now, whether that's writing a check in January, the question I gotta ask back to them now is if that's just signing the contract in January, and the checks may be in a series of checks over the next 18 or 24 months as especially dispatch equipment gets delivered and then installed and so on and so forth. We may not have to take delivery right away, but what they're wanting is I think they put in here January 24th, as when they wanted the contract signed by, to us committing to buying the equipment. So just bring that to you as an update. The pricing right now is total system price, and some of this stuff's negotiable. Like there's an $80,000 component that I think we've decided that we probably can do without and don't need. And along with that $80,000 component, there's an $11,000 annual maintenance fee that would go away too. And there's a couple other items that we, and when I say we, Monica and I, Tasha, have talked about that we can probably do away with. So this number is still somewhat fluid, but the starting point is 2.3 million with a discount of 234,000 if signed by January 24th. But then there's the ongoing service agreement that would add annually over the next 5 years, broken out annually, but a total of 274,000. So just to give you an update and see if you guys have any questions in particular on that. We're still in conversations with them and don't have a recommendation for the commission just yet, but.
What happened to the dot till we buy them through Johnson County's?
Thank you. The Johnson, we found out on that conference call, the Johnson County contract expires at the end of this year. And as of right now, they don't know that they're gonna renew it. And so to add on to that a little more, Lyon County's buying radios and they just signed a contract, but their contract's only good through March. I think they're going away from just leaving this open in the contract deal where somebody can just tag them and buy them whenever they want at the big discount, so. That's the roadblock in that plan. So like I said, we're still talking to them and there'll be more to come, but I just wanted to give you guys an update to kind of give you a heads up. And I assume there's no reason to hurry up and do anything at the end of the year with the end of the year money. I mean, just go into equipment reserve and it's still gonna be there, so. Do you have a question?
Any other company out there besides Motorola?
There are, and we've tested some of those radios. The issue is the state system that we're on is 98% Motorola. And so when you buy other vendors, they can work and they will operate, but all the features and all the other things don't necessarily work like they should. Like for example, one thing is GPS location of units, and especially on the law enforcement side, you know, and I don't know if Mike or anybody's in here, I don't think they are, but they can maybe speak to it a little bit better than me, but, you know, the officer jumps out of their vehicle and starts chasing somebody through the streets or through the woods, the new stuff, dispatch will be able to track them and know where they ended up, whether they fell in the hole or they got whacked in the head, or know where they're laying in the woods type of thing. If you buy non-Motorola, then Motorola's not gonna guarantee that the dispatch equipment will pick up that Johnson or Harris or whatever radio. That's the problem.
So, what's gonna happen to all the old equipment then, you know, cause it was discussed if we
Buy in phases.
bid to phase it in.
And that's still an option. We just won't get as big a discount on the new stuff. So that's and so once they get back to us with answers to our questions, better answers to our questions, we'll be better able to sit down and get on the calculator and say, well, if we buy it in phases, it'll cost us this for 3 to 4 years. If we buy it all at once, we get this discount. Here's the rough dollar difference. And then the decision can be made then. So either way, the old equipment, I'm glad you brought that up. That was the other thing I was gonna say. The old equipment we put in here give us pricing for any trade-in value that the old equipment would have. And they said, well, they didn't give us that, but on the conference call, they said, well, if it's easier for you for disposal-wise, we can take it on trade, but they're not gonna take any more off the price. And then they're just gonna destroy it. And so, your answer to what would happen to the old equipment, some of it would be kept as spares, others may be we may come up for a motion to put it on like an auction service of some sort and auction it. Some of it we may give a few radios. Some of our neighbors are interested in some of the old radios, I think. So that would be a combination of things that would probably happen to the old stuff. We would try to get something for it, or use some of it to benefit some of our neighboring jurisdictions. So a combination.
Sounds like you're waiting on some responses and doing more discovery to put this all together for us.
Right.
Next month sometime.
Hopefully, yes. So, just wanted to bring you an update on that. I think that's all. The other thing I was gonna mention, like, being the end of the year and stuff, we have the old 2009 Expedition. It needs some work. Just wanted to make sure that if we should do work to it, you know, the paint's coming off in places, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a transmission issue here. Eventually, we budgeted a year ago to replace it, chose not to. Just gonna bring that up to you, whether we should try and do anything into the year or not worry about it for a while.
We're not in a situation like the farmer producer where they need the expenses in
Right.
a specific year.
Right.
So does anybody have any thoughts on what Russell's asking about? Try to do something here at the end of the year, or just let it ride into next year? Sounds to me like it's something we don't have to do this year.
No. Just bring it up.
Has it degraded much from this time last year?
Oh, I mean, a little more paint's coming off the, you know, but on the back, around
Yeah.
things, but pretty similar, I think.
But you do have it budgeted to replace it.
We budgeted in 2018 to replace it, and so then that money went in equipment reserve because we didn't, the commission chose not to replace it. So, I mean, the money's in equipment
How many
reserve.
miles you got on it?
Low hundreds.
Like that one you and I took to Independence?
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait too much longer.
That's why I bring it up. But nothing has to be done today, I mean,
Right.
but if the commission wants to give direction to go out after the first year for bids on it, I mean, obviously I'm open to that, but
Seems like usually the best pricing is about this time of year.
that was kinda one of my thoughts too, maybe, but obviously it's up to the commission.
Start looking at least.
Well, there's a little bit concerned about the transmission. Maybe the quicker we take some action, the better off we'd be. You might gain an extra $400 or $500 on a trade-in. The transmission goes down, we know we got an expense.
Yeah.
Right.
That $3,000 or $4,000 or
Right.
I drove it last week, I didn't see anything wrong with it myself.
it
Yeah, when it's,
Tom got us to Wichita in good shape and back, so
I mean,
you know, whatever the majority wants.
I don't think it hurts to check into it.
Okay.
One thing I do appreciate, you've highlighted all your changes.
Mhm.
That's no sign we need to forget about what's in black print, but at least you've highlighted some things that are new, and I think that's good.
Mhm.
We got Matt here, and I asked him before your emergency preparedness met. You have any comments at all? I know you talked about FEMA a little bit before we met.
Just thanks for all the support the county commissioners gave and the county employees during the evaluated exercise. There were comments from FEMA about how good it was to see the commissioners participating in the drills. So they thought that was a big plus for us. They said they have a lot of counties that don't do that, so it shows the engagement from the community in it. But majority of it was positive things. They talked about how when they want to talk about where somebody does it good, some of the things they reference is to our area and how we've been doing our job. So lots of good positive items came out of the meeting.
Mhm. And I sent the email out about the exit meeting Friday, like Matt just said, it's all preliminary, nothing official, but the only thing they had good to say at the library was good. They didn't have any negatives to bring up. I think Fred was there, I don't know if Fred wanted to make any comments, but.
No, I was just pleased that everything was good.
So,
Any other questions for Russell or Matt? If not, appreciate you coming in. Next part of our agenda this morning, Forrest Roburn, you wanna come forward? You want Tom to sit with you? You want Tom to be with you up here also?
Would that be okay, Don?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
We can bring another,
Well, I can scoot this one.
okay.
Hi, Frosty.
Welcome, Forrest and Tom's in the room. Get that slid in there, Tom.
Yeah.
Welcome this morning. I think you probably know all the commissions. Know Tom, you know, lives here in Brunt. Do both of you know Cody?
No, I haven't.
Cody Haddock from Waverly area.
That's Beach Force.
So, you know Tom?
Yep.
Yeah, hi.
Okay. Welcome to the Commission Chamber. So what have you got for us this morning, Forrest?
Okay, I'm gonna talk about the drainage of Matthias Lake. And, like I say, I don't think, Tom or Cody has had any presentations of the drainage on Matthias Lake. Not from me anyhow.
I think they're aware of,
Huh?
I think they're aware of it.
Yes.
I'm aware of the project, yes.
Okay. I would, hope that the commissioners and the employees treat all property owners around Matthias Lake equally. I will let you draw your own conclusions, and there has been 7 engineers writing their remedies and improvements since the relocation of FAS 10. I'm gonna start with the 12th lane road, and that's adjacent to county landfill, section 19 and 24. They're at 12, there's 46.54 square feet of drainage pipes for this drainage area. The county has rocked a large ditch, and you can see by the debris on the north side of the fence how fast the water comes out of the landfill. There's 25 feet of a difference in elevation from 12th lane down to 12th road, and that water is moving. In presenting this, I'll be backing up, back and forth a couple of times, because that's about the only way I can do it. The next structure was a concrete culvert, 128 square feet. Due to the west lane was about to collapse, new structure is a triple 9x5 concrete box, 135 square feet. 11th Road now has 4 54-inch by 48-inch concrete arch pipes, 64 square foot. On January 30th, 2006, the 4 48-inch CMPs was to be replaced by a single-span concrete structure bridge. To meet the required square feet for the 1,091 square acre drainage area. This was put in the road plan for the work and completion in 2007 to ensure something would take place. Present structure is the 4 54-inch by 48-inch concrete arch pipes. I was told this was changed to let the water to have time to get down below 11th and 10th Road. Drainage area, 64 square feet, required 76 square feet. 10th Road structure is a 3 by 7 by 6 RCV, 126 square feet. As you can see, 11th Road is nothing but a dike. The drainage ditch between 11th and 10th is plugged with silt. Adjacent property owners. Now backing back to the drainage between 12th and 11th Road, the 120-acre field on the east side of the ditch has 4 or 5 newly cut ditches going from east to west. The silt from the new ditches has helped to plug the drainage ditch and the beavers to build the dam. In doing this, where is the water draining to? It's backing up on me in my low property or breaking over a ridge that lets the water go southwest down to the intersection of 11th and Native Road. There are 3 concrete pipes beneath the curve there on 11th Road. And there's 2 pipes, two 30-inch CMPs coming from the west ditch to the east ditch. Then the drainage goes on north at 3,000 feet from the to the new county pipe that was installed to the west side of Matthias's Lake. This is nothing but a block in the ditch there. The pipe, my entrance pipes, has more square foot of drainage than the pipe that was put in to the west side, to the east side of Matthias's Lake, going into the old cabin there. Now going south down the east ditch, there's, muskrats had riddled the holes in the back slope, and the beavers built the dam. They didn't like the idea of losing the water. Going south to the diagonal drainage ditch at Native Road to 10th Road. Now, I was told that this was constructed by the property owner. Not so. Our witness, the county forces that constructed that ditch, and also they built a berm in the ditch and rip-wrapped that berm to force the water down that diagonal ditch. Okay, now this water, if you stop and think about it, it's coming from the Oxon Road a mile west, a mile south, and a quarter back southeast again, over to a well-defined channel. This is also draining the 90-acre Matthias's Lake, which was diverted from the original southeast corner of its national drainage over to the drainage ditch. And I think this can be verified by Don. You were the manager of Leroy Co-op. You spread a lot of fertilizer and herbicide on this piece. Now, you wondered why you had to go around 11th Road, because that drainage ditch come out the southeast side of Matthias's Lake.
Correct.
For all of a sudden, then, you started being able to go on through there. Why? Because that was plugged off and forcing the water out the southwest corner,
Right,
over into another drainage area that's not legal, is the way I see it.
But it doesn't have the capacity to carry all of that south.
All you have to do is read the state of Kansas's statutes, drainage and levees, and it'll tell you. I would like to address the problem on my driveway. No less than 4 county commissioners have witnessed standing in my driveway, seeing the high spot in the ditch south that's holding water in my entrance pipes 60% of the time, and they're rusted out now from water being just held in there. Okay, when this is held in there 60% up, you get an inch or inch and a half of rain before it can break over. It goes down my north ditch in my driveway, crosses my driveway out into my field, and it's a low spot, but I've always said that it's going to have some water for a day or so, but not for weeks at a time. It's trying to get back around the high spot in the county's ditch. You know what I was told about this high spot in that ditch by county forces? That they weren't going to do anything until the Matthias Lake construction got underway. Well, that was back there in 2016. I just keep losing crops. We plant the same thing over and over, but there be little. And you've witnessed this, Don, and you've walked that county, the drainage ditch from my property line south. The old Santa Fe Railroad had a trestle there. It was a 40-foot trestle, and it never held water back on us. But now, the waters are being held by that one single pipe due to the property owner just south there. You witnessed this.
Yeah.
And I just can't see why something isn't being taken care of. Now, I'm going back down to the diagonal ditch there. Okay. On the west side of the north side of the diagonal there, the property was being prepared for crops in 2018, and there's no ditch there because the farmer is farming the ditch right over to the end slope. That let the, tractor on track come out into the road, but he got a little hurry dropping his equipment, took out the west lane of, the road, 10th Road. County had to come in and fix it. Okay, now, it come time for harvest time in 2018. Of course, we all know it was wet, but the equipment that's being used by this farmer is on tracks. The tractor pulling the grain cart come out, turn around the road, deposited piles of soil, clear on over to Oxen and north 3/4 of a mile, same thing being done. Farm over to the inslope. County sends out 2 maintainers that following morning to blade the soil off of that road, and they spent till noon doing it. And one of you county commissioners, I think it might have been you, Bob, asked what charges was presented to this property owner. Should he pay for it? And he was told by the county employee that it wasn't determined that if he was the only one that was doing this. Well, just any layman can go down their road and tell where all this soil come out of, but nothing was ever charged him. Okay, now I'm going to go over to Planter Road. And this has something to do with this drainage here, because for a half a mile on Planter Road on the west side, the county went in and cut a new ditch down for a half a mile. The new ditch was, the excavation from that ditch was hauled a mile north, a mile east or west to the intersection of Oxen and 11th Road, dumped out in the field. I don't know how many loads. That's not my job to be counting the truckloads. The trucker ought to count them. And also, the excavation was hauled 2 miles west to section yeah, well, it'll take me a minute here to find. Not in a hurry, Tom. Anyhow, it's, I think it's section 21 in, no, that's not right. Section 12, 2115. Same property owner to fill in low spots in that field down there. Okay, going back to the where this excavation come from, the county put up steel fence posts to mark the right-of-way. I guess that's what they did. And supposedly, they usually seed the right-of-way and the freshly cut excavated ditch. Come time for planting, the posts were disappeared. We plant right back out to the top of the back slope, filling in the ditch again. And what was ever said about pulling the posts or disposing of them and planting them out to the ditch? I don't know.
And I don't know either, of course.
This, you know, I wake up at night thinking about what's going on out there. And Tom's gonna inherit this one of these days, I know. So that's one reason he's here listening to all of this. Now, I'm gonna take you back up to, Native Road and 12th Place. That intersection there is a T intersection that goes off to the landfill and the recycle. Show me one of your other intersections in Coffee County that's any dangerous than that one. Do you know one? I do. That one there is the most dangerous there is, because I'll tell you why. There's no widening there for a car or a truck. The solid waste truck drivers going to the landfill either have to stop or just cut on across in front of somebody. Well, one of the boys, his name was Smith, almost lost his life at that intersection by hitting one of those solid waste disposal trucks. And so, yeah, the drainage is bad there, but the safety is what I'm thinking. What would it cost for the county to fix the shoulders there the way they ought to be on that super elevated curve that's staked 50 mile an hour going around there? Right now, the low side of that curve, you have one pothole right on the yellow line, or on the white line, that measures 3.5, 4 inches deep. You got 3 more down there that was filled when I contacted you, and they were filled the next day.
I knew they filled in fairly quickly.
Now they're down like this. When you cut a trench along your side of your roadway, you've got to take care of the drainage. You either got to cut that slope on out where that water's not trapped in there. And I think you use millings to fill this, what you've cut out, 2 foot wide or maybe 3. I'm thinking it's 2 to 3 feet wide. When you put those millings in there dry and then shoot asphalt on top of them, it isn't going to stay, it just ravels out. Go out and look at it. You got to mix that millings with fresh asphalt and mix it in, and then take it out and put it in and roll it in. I've been in construction a long time, I know. And now, on the upside, you have a shoulder that's going on out there. You laid the snow over on it. What happens during the day? It thaws. What happens at night? It freezes. It's running right across there. The correct way to correct that is go 2 foot outside of the edge of pavement at the same slope, then drop the rest of the shoulder at 3/4 inch per foot. That way, when you put your snow out there, the drainage is going to go off down the slope, not run across that roadway every time. And that is a bad situation there, because you're going on north with Native Road, no shoulders. The edge of pavement's right out, maybe you got 2 foot before it starts the inslope. And I can show you one pipe you got down there that's almost right on the edge of the pavement, and it's dangerous. It's just this side of 12th Road on the east side of the 11th Road, or Native Road. And something ought to be done with that. What does it cost? Is the cost of fixing these shoulders worth of losing a life? It looks to me like that life is a lot more valuable than the cost of fixing these shoulders. While I'm on this, the same thing up is where the turnoff of 75 down to Coffee County Lake. That is another bad situation. There's no widening there for you to get over, pull over, or go around if somebody stopped out there. And these ought to be looked at.
I think some of them on 75, they're in the process of looking at some of them right now, and I think some of those
You should have
turnoffs are being evaluated right now for the next year or two.
Yeah.
I know Wayne's working on some of those projects.
You ought to have a 200 foot of widening and then a 150 foot of taper for people to either XL or incel or XL on.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous. Now, I got one other question to ask you. What is going on up on Old 50 Highway?
Right now, to my knowledge, if I miss something, please correct me, the rest of you. Right now, don't have anything in the works right now. You know, the first 3 miles coming off of 75, going west, you know, that road is not held up like we'd like to have had it seen. And right now, we don't have any plans to go back in and resurface that other and reevaluate and
Is there-
what needs to be done.
Is there plans for the workers to go out there and go by how to repair this? Do you have a set of plans or somebody draw up a sketch what should be done?
My understanding, you know, they added 2 feet, this happened, that part of it happened before I was here, it wouldn't make any difference. They added 2 feet to each one of them to make the road 24 feet instead of the current 20 that it was to start with, widening it out to make it safe. But to get that 2 feet at the quality that it needed to be done, probably didn't prepare that base quite as well as what it should have. And my understanding is there is some water seepage there that's gonna make it difficult to get a good 2-foot base underneath of it without probably digging down and bringing it back up.
You know what your problem is there? I asked one of the county workers, and he said, well, we got a water problem. You don't have a water problem when you're going into a fill and widening that out. If you go down 6 inches deep with that widening, then you need to take that slope again where you've excavated down on out so that water's not trapped in there and can get away. I'd like to know how much has been spent on Old 50 Highway in 2018, 2019, lane mile, how much money has been spent on that, down clear into the Levo interchange.
And I don't have that figure currently available. We could discover that and get back with you.
I'd like to see
respond to
it,
your answer.
because I think you're gonna find out that's probably being, more money's been spent there than any other road in Coffee County.
Although it is the 2nd or 3rd most traveled road in the county. So it does have a lot of traffic on it. So it does justify, in my opinion, some expense in it to maintain it. But, right now, we know there's some issues with Highway 50.
Has there been a road count or a traffic count made on the road just east of Burlington there going to the landfill lately?
I can't answer that. Wayne, do you know if there's been a count on that in the last 2 or 3, 4 years?
I think the state has done a count in the county here just last year, but I'd have to look at their files and see if they have it posted.
Yeah.
I think you'll find out that it's one of the most traveled.
Well, I think you're probably correct. It probably is pretty well traveled. It is there is a lot of traffic on that, and people are driving 45, 50 mile an hour on that curve. But as far as trying to solve every dangerous corner in the county, it's a task that's almost impossible to do, which I'm sure you're well aware of that, especially with all the field corn we have planted up next to our corners. A lot of intersections in our county get totally unsafe without using some very good judgment about slowing down at some of these crossroads. And I appreciate, what you're saying about that. And, as far as Matthias Lake, we had good plans in place to do a lot of ditching going south down Native Road to get that improved drainage in place this year. And I'm not trying to make any excuses at all for that, but this has probably been one of the most challenging years that agriculture has ever had with all the rain we had in April, May, and June. So therefore, that project didn't get done like we had good intentions to have done. I know we got a project there right at the west side of Leroy. It was going to take 4 or 5 weeks to get done. That project wasn't completed or started, and I'm sure there's some other projects. So hopefully, those projects that was in the plan to be done in 2019, hopefully in 2020 we can address those and get them totally addressed and cleaned up and fixed.
If I may, on that one, Don,
Okay, Wayne, go ahead.
If I totally agree with you there on Matthias Lake, we had the project to basically help out with the ditching, and would also too, we would take the pipes out so the water from Matthias Lake wouldn't come back on Forest, but basically all the water that's on the west side would actually go south. With all the rains that we had, we were not able to start that project and be able to get it completed this year. We do have it in plans for next year, so we do also have all the landowners signed off in agreement for additional right-of-way. We do have the power poles that were moved You can see that today. We also have, an excavator out there setting, today. It should be out there today. We don't have a truck yet, but, there is that breach in that, berm there on Matthias that we're gonna be fixing as soon as we get, basically the equipment there. And so that one breach that you have, Matthias Lake still coming out on the ditch, that's on the east side of the road, hopefully to be able to plug that off and keep that water from coming back on Forest as well. So we have that in the works right now, but our season just did not allow us to proceed with that project, Matthias. We feel that that's gonna be a valuable project once we get it, completed. There's several structures that would be replaced. There's quite a bit of earthwork, that's gonna need to be done, but we're trying to do that and schedule it around the crops as well. And so, as we worked out those, agreements with the landowners, we're trying to find the time that we can be able to get out there and do that work and be successful with it.
Well, let me give you my opinion what should be done. On Oxon Road, both ditches going south need to be cut and excavated so they'll drain on down. And I know on the west side of Oxon Road, for a half a mile, well, maybe it's less than a half a mile, from, Ninth Lane Road on down to Wolf Creek, the county spent, one fall and part of the winter out there excavating that ditch, and it is a wide ditch. It'll handle any amount of water that you get down to it. But the ditches above there, they're being formed right over to the inslope, the old ditch.
We just haven't
To
been
carry
able to
the
finish
water.
that one as well for us.
Okay, now, going over to the drainage ditch, this ditch that's been there for years and years, and that should be carrying the water, that needs to be cleaned out. And if the property owner doesn't wanna do it, back to the Kansas statutes, drainage and levies, you guys got the right. I know the county commissioner sent out a letter that, to the township board where they had money to do this. I asked the, township board, and they said they would not do anything until that Matthias Lake, the drainage out of Matthias Lake was put back where it originally was. And I'll tell you how this is. There's a drainage map that was made in 1986, prepared by, under the direction of Kansas Department of Revenue and Division of Property Valuation and the Board of County Commissioners. The sections it covers is 25, 26, 35, 36, Township 2115. That's the area all around Matthias Lake. Look at this map, and you can definitely tell where the Matthias Lake was supposed to be, the drainage out of it, and what takes place. I wore that map out looking at it because it pulls up. It's pretty good size.
And I had a lot of experience.
Huh?
I had a lot of experience where that drainage was coming out of the southeast
Yeah.
corner. Because we had to go around the section to get into the north 18 or 20 acres, and of course now you can farm the whole field as one field.
But, when the county attorney wrote this letter out to the township, and they told me they weren't gonna do anything but that, they should have wrote it to the county commissioners too. Because you guys are under a road system. The township doesn't have anything to do with the roads anymore.
Yeah.
It's all up to you guys to get rid of this drainage. And I think, Fred, I think you've got the right idea of having these meetings taped. And then, because you may want to know something that happened 6 meetings ago or so, and Donna has gone through these minutes and picked out what decision was made, so you don't have to listen to all of that discussion going on, taking up your time. I think you made a good point there, and I'm all for seems handled the way that should be.
You know, all of our meetings are, you know, recorded and videoed, have been for the last
I know.
4 to 6 weeks, and that makes us more transparent with our citizens of Coffee County, and that's the way it should be.
Well, I know how important it is to tape a meeting. I sat in on a lot of pre-construction conferences with contractors, and you may have the prime contractor and 3 or 4 subs, and the next day, I'd listen to that and pick out what Mr. Contractor agreed to do, so I wouldn't have to go back in when he didn't want to do something and listen to that whole thing all over again.
Yeah.
Taking up my time over it.
Yeah. On behalf of the commission, you know, we appreciate you coming in.
Yeah. You got anything to say,
And
Tom?
Tom joining you.
Well, on the Mathias Lake where it's breached on the west side,
Yes.
it looks like to me if the berm had rock instead of dirt, because that was just a dirt berm that the county put up on the.
They did, the county, when they repaired that, Tom, they did put some small rock on it, but not the kind of water that come out of there.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That was my only thought.
Yeah.
There at one time, there was some discussion about riprap on the inside of it.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been any discussion on that particular subject probably for 8 or 10 months, or maybe last January, February, when we set the objective to do some of the road projects that we had in place. And one of them was in Mathias Lake. One of them, you know, was like west of Leroy, and there may be 1 or 2 others in the county that hasn't been finished this year. And a lot of it, I don't want to make any excuses, never, but we know
We had
there was 3 or 4 months last year. It was
We had a
pretty
rough year.
challenging for agriculture as a whole, and we're an agriculture county, and of course that affected our road and bridge department.
Right,
So,
right.
but we do appreciate you coming in, appreciate explaining everything to us, and hopefully we can make some good headway this next year for us.
Well, I hope so. I'm not gonna be around much longer to
Yes, you
argue
are.
with you.
Yeah,
You're
he's
too
gonna-
hungry, not to be.
He's gonna be 88 next month.
Is he really?
He's a young 88.
Thank you.
Pretty good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Frosty, thanks
Yeah.
thanks for
Yeah.
coming in. Thank you. Tom?
Thank you, Don.
Thanks for being.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Tom.
Have a Merry Christmas, Don.
Okay.
Thank you, Wayne.
Bye, Frosty.
It's, we're just about on time. We're at 10 o'clock. We'll take about a 8 or 10 minute break.
Executive Thursday. On this agenda.
Oh,
30.
wow.
10:30. Have a pretzel, Pete.
Have both problems.
That's right. Lots of sentiment.
How you doing?
Well, one thing's for sure.
Dig
That
in.
whole situation out there needs to be fixed. And we've been fiddling around with it for a long time. And that's why I go back to, you need to contract that out, that goes, you know, they get called off when it's something.
I put a, 2 scoops of
Yeah, I don't know.
Folgers and then 1 scoop of.
Part of the problem in the past has been landlord
Is that what you're tasting?
agreements.
Well, I haven't tasted
Do
it yet.
what we need to do.
A lot of times I don't,
Dragging
I
their feet.
can smell the fragrance, but then the taste, you know,
Yeah.
tasting different. No. This is that peppermint mocha.
Morning.
Oh,
Now
yeah?
that's when gets stuff
Oh,
there.
yeah. Ooh.
Starbucks peppermint mocha.
Is that right? I've never had that before.
You never had that? Oh, yeah, peppermint mocha, that's good. Yeah, it's quite tasty. A lot of calories though.
Yeah,
A lot of sugar and
That's the bad thing about things that taste good. Is a lot of calories.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah. There, you'd be surprised, I think there's like 600 calories in the plant of those cups of coffee.
So what's the,
Yeah.
why it tastes so good?
Yes, that is true.
Take somebody with more construction expertise than I have to get this remedy, but we need to get it remedied.
Yeah, but I dropped the ball. You know, we should have done some work out there this year, but it wasn't worth it. First year to do a lot of ditching.
What I appreciate is, though, you, on your own, you just asked me, I should have mentioned this after you.
Russ will go give you a copy, Wayne.
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
I wish I wouldn't bring things like that here.
Oh, yeah.
You think it'd be good? Might try one, or two, or three. They're really good.
They're really good.
They're a handful.
Cinnamon. I love cinnamon.
So what's going on at Wolf Creek?
We had our drill last week, that was a big thing there.
Yeah.
Just trying to slide into the new year.
How about the parking lot? How you guys doing on that? Weren't you kinda moving that around and your
Yep.
fencing and all of that too?
Yeah, we got a new security access facility there and all the parking lot.
Okay. So Kilo was able to get the asphalt down, I know it was a little late in the year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, it looks pretty good right now. Yeah, that was probably maybe 3 or 4 weeks, 3 weeks ago. It was pretty late.
Yeah, it was pretty late.
They were pretty busy, but they did get it down.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was up, I guess, but
Yeah.
it is down, it looks pretty good.
I'll put them over here, it's a little easier to get.
Those are addicting. Those are addicting there.
No, that's fine, just leave them right there.
Those are addicting there.
Yeah.
You were gonna miss that.
Well, I had an old hat that I wear, so, old men rule.
Kimberly get that for you?
Yeah.
Sounds like that, she did. Good to see you guys. Take care.
See what you got to say about that, which is
This man's hat, you really appreciate you. Good.
I got that same hat too, Old Men Rule.
Is that right?
The John Wayne hat. Yeah.
I can't lose.
That's cute.
Karen Clark's doing it. Karen.
So, good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Definitely do more first, okay.
Well, Mark, we'd like for you to set up front here so you can be on World Wide Web.
I'm fine right here, thank you, Bob. I'd hate to become famous and have to leave the city.
Coffee does taste good. I like it. Yeah.
Okay, we're back in session. Joining us here this morning will be the mayor of Brunton, Stan Luke, and you've got one or two individuals with you.
I've got Mark Davidson.
If you would like to introduce, I'm sorry, I don't know.
I got Mark Davidson, our superintendent of our
Okay.
street department here in Burlington.
Okay,
Can't be signed in, understand, I mean, I'm sorry.
Mark, do you need to be sitting up here or stand to make this presentation, or?
No, I'm perfectly fine back here, thank you for the offer, I appreciate it.
Missing your chance to be famous.
Yeah, I'm fine. I really don't want people to know I associate with Bob, so.
At least you didn't say with me.
Okay, what do you have for us, morning, Stan?
At our last council meeting, your county engineer came and has talked with Mark Davidson of the city with respect to the two bridges on Kennebec. and the need to resurface, redeck, the east one, which is near 9th Street, and the Bowman Bridge to the west is basically to patch and repair. Right now, the testing that was done with the penetrating radar indicated that over 50% of the deck of the east bridge was bad. And then the commission has talked with the engineer with respect to the fact that the county would reimburse the city for the repairs, replacement of the deck and railing on that particular bridge on Kennebec and 9th Street. We are in agreement that we would go ahead and do that. We will work directly with the county in setting up the design of the deck and the railing, and oversee the installation and construction, and pay the contractor upon completion of the project out of our current infrastructure funds, and then submit to the county the invoice to reimburse our infrastructure funds that we have already set aside for street projects within the city. That bridge has been there, I think it was wooden before it ever became concrete, and that was since the 50s. To my knowledge, and with our chief of police, there's been no accidents or anything on that particular bridge. No, I do know it's said to little cantywampus with the street, but I don't think that necessarily needs to be altered or changed at this time.
That hasn't created the dangers.
No,
issue, has it?
there's been no.
Flushed out of line.
No, let's put it this way, there's been no reported sideswiping or damages to anybody with respect to that particular bridge.
I know the buses, when they come from there, they have to take a big wide.
That's correct.
So they can head west,
but that's not a designated bus route. So they don't always use the route that they're supposed to. And we're aware of that. Sometimes the issue is that street doesn't have the stop signs on it that the other streets have, so the bus drivers utilize that.
I see.
So we're well aware of that. And
What's the projected time to replace?
I don't
do
have
that
a...
work over both bridges, and can they do them both at once to shorten up that time frame?
The key thing, I believe, is that we need to be looking at least the deck replacement bridge during the non-school year. The only other two spots that cross the creek north is Neosho and Cross Street. In working with the volunteer fire department, the school, the hospital with ambulances, we'll work directly with them in setting alternate routes, and if there's something we need to do to alter the flow of traffic on those alternate routes, we will take care of it and do it in that format. I don't know, without talking to an actual engineering firm that's going to be doing the work, as to how long those bridges would need to be shut down. I would think that the Bowman Bridge, since it's going to be a partial repairs, it would go a lot faster. Whether it's done at the same time or not would really create a problem with those that are on Kennebec Street between the two bridges. And my assumption would be that we would look at doing that Bowman Bridge first, in with all the other bridges that's tied into what the county is looking at doing now, setting up a separate contract for the one at 9th Street, since it will be a complete tear out with respect to the deck. It will take longer, I'm quite sure of that. You can expedite certain things, but once again, you have to make sure that you've got the quality of the work that you want to have done on that particular location.
Anybody have any questions?
That was the motion that we made to offer to you to help you replace the deck of that bridge. And you said reimburse you. I guess we hadn't thought of it that way. We were just going to cover the cost of it, what it might be. But we can, the reimbursement, however you want to do that.
I look at that bridge, since quote unquote, I'll call it a city bridge, that with any warranties, guarantees, et cetera, that comes with the construction, we need to have the actual contract so that we can be covered and protected in the future with what's going on there. So we can use existing infrastructure funds to actually pay the contractor upon completion and have our inspectors and et cetera work with them on making sure that everything gets done correctly.
Well, I actually made that motion. I'll explain to you why I did it. Because as right now, that's considered a county connecting link. And when we get this new bridge in there, two new bridges in, I would love to see us no longer call that a county connecting link, because we have 13th Road now, which is Blacktopped Road, that takes people north, and the Osho takes them south or east. So that would be my goal, is to, once we get it fixed, no longer it be considered a connecting link, and it would be the cities from there on out. But I'm willing, since it is a connecting link right now, I'm willing to do it, and it's a lot easier to get, our money probably comes a little easier than yours, so if you're willing to fix that one, we're willing to fix this, and then it comes out not very much different.
Right, yeah. The estimates were
It
close.
wasn't a significant difference.
No.
You know, I know, I had the same question Bob had, you know, do we let them go ahead and issue the contracts, make all the payments, and we reimburse them, or do we cut a check directly to the contractor? Is there any issues with that?
However they want to do it, be okay with me.
Okay, I didn't know whether there was anything set in statute, if we could reimburse them, or whether we need to cut a check direct.
That would, if I may.
Yes, Ken, Wayne.
Yeah, since that's in the city limits, the city's gonna have to take basically action through motions to accommodate all the contracts that would go along with it. Reimbursement would be better as far as what your funds would be. Then what you're doing is just reimbursing them for the expenditures to which actions they need to take.
If that can be allowed, to me, that's the best way
Yeah,
to do it.
and so it's just a simple agreement that you would have, that would be drafted, that the county and the city would both sign off on, is basically agreeing to reimburse the funds for the construction of such and such bridge. I mean, that's all you're amounting to. And then once you submit the invoice, then basically you get reimbursed by the county. That's kind of how it would work. But I do want to make clear, or double check, oh doggone, this thing just locks up on me. That alignment though, if I may.
We actually done their cell phone, which
Yeah.
you just said this morning.
Yeah, we're not allowed to use any cell phones in here at all.
Oh, okay,
Sorry
for
about that.
pictures?
Yeah.
Can't show,
If you
can't
could
show
show a
pictures?
picture to clarify something, I probably have not an issue with that.
That's all it is.
Just don't want anybody to use a cell phone on any,
Oh.
until we're in the breaks or after a break.
No, it's just to show pictures, that's all I have. So if I may, Stan, on this one, you were saying as far as the alignment onto it, there is a meeting we're scheduling with Moni here Wednesday. Mark and I are gonna visit with him. And so what we're wanting to do is, this is looking west, on that same bridge. And what we have is that's an off alignment a little bit, and there's no thought that we would realign the bridge, okay? But if there is some thought to basically looking at the geometry of the intersection, could basically add safety, in that respect. Here's another, this kind of shows the jog here. Now, I'll be glad to show you all just a moment, but that shows the jog. It's just off by, a couple of feet, but as you can see too, there are damages associated with that offset, because you can see the scratch marks on the concrete here. So people have hit that and then moved over. It's just a simple, all we'd amount to is just to see if Moni, and then the county is agreeing to pay the cost. That's going to be engineering plus actual construction costs, is just to have Moni take a look and say, okay, can we make improvements to that intersection? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can we make improvements to that intersection? And then if we make improvements to that intersection, it'd be a far better project. Because the whole idea on that particular bridge is we're taking the whole deck off, and then we're going to be replacing the deck, so that includes the rails, the hub guards, and all those type of things that go along with it. And so we can improve that intersection at the same time. It just makes good sense to do so. So that's all I'm asking, is if we would expand the scope just a little bit more than just basically replacing the deck, but expand the scope to say, is there anything that we can do without moving the alignment of the bridge that would improve safety of the intersection?
When Mark comes back from your meetings, we'll...
Yeah, and you guys make the ultimate decision
My
what you want to do
thought
with
on
that
that is, if you guys wanna go and do something else, if the city wants to stand that expense, that's your expense. My motion was to help you replace the deck, and I'm not gonna go out and start doing all the city's work for them. I mean, that's.
And we can...
Understand.
We can
If you
finish.
guys wanna do it, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's your expense.
That's fine too, that'd be whatever agreement that you have, but, this is all I'm showing. This is basically, you can see slightly how that bridge is off the line a little bit.
But as wide as it is, it doesn't present any issues really either.
There's some,
You can't turn west coming from the north at
Yeah.
all.
Sure you can, I've turned school buses there.
you can see
Without,
damage
without
along
waiting
that
for
rail
traffic to get by.
where
Yeah,
vehicles
noise traffic
scratch
coming.
against it and so on. That would be it.
Is there anything in writing that says that that is a connecting link? I know, I'm aware.
I don't think that.
Is there anything in writing that says that that's a county connecting link?
No, nothing I can find. There's those old agreements, and I haven't refreshed myself in looking back at them.
I've read through several, but I don't remember seeing
Yeah,
that
but
particular.
that's there. But Bob brings up a good point. I mean, really what you're doing is just having an agreement, is to say, okay, if the county's wanting to reimburse only the repairs for the bridge deck itself and not the alignment, then that's fine. That's what you're agreeing to. And we continue to move on. If we're not wanting to do the intersection, we can contact Moni and just tell him, no, we don't want to do it. That's fine too.
I think you should meet with Moni and with Mark and
Okay.
look at that, just for clarification.
Just to see if there's anything that
Just to
can
see
be
if there's
done.
anything that would be advantageous, otherwise we'll just do the deck and the railings associated with it.
Okay. And so what you have is, as they have two bridges, one is a bridge that would be the same type of work that we're doing on the other 6 bridges that we already have scheduled in the county. And Moni already has the plans ready for us on the 6. What he's needing to do is finish the plans on that particular one. Now, he can do that one, and then it would be bid out at the same time. Now, the city still has to do their thing, because, as I mentioned earlier, anything's within the city limits, corporate city limits, needs to be the agreements of the city. But what they would do is they bid at the same time, and in that time, we also get a contractor that would bid on 7 bridges all at the same time. This other bridge, the one that needs the deck replacement, that's a whole different character. You're not gonna...
Separate contract.
Yes, it'd be a separate contract, it'd be a separate, set of plans. It would not be part of the original, it'd be a separate set of plans. And then it would be bid out to another type of contractor, instead of just basically a contractor that does the surfacing. You're talking about a contractor that's going to, demo the bridge and then reset the bridge, more of a bridge contractor, is what you're gonna be dealing with there. And so, that would be another set of plans. Time frame wise, it's kind of whatever the city and Moni would work, and looking at schedules and such as that. But honestly, it would probably be either late in the year or next year for that type of bridge to be replaced. The deck
I'm
on
not
it.
sure that they could get that all lined out by summer.
Well,
For
that's,
this summer anyway.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it might not be with those type of schedules. It might not be this year, at least for the bridge deck replacement. But
All
the other,
others, yeah.
but the other one, I would move forward on that one, because we're ready to move, and we need to actually get our contracts up about the 1st of January here. That way, we can get these contractors bidding onto them early, because with 7 bridges, it's gonna take most of the good weather, spring, summer, and fall, to get all 7 of them done. And so, to be able to get that contractor here. So, mine would be is to have Moni go ahead and move forward with the plans on that one, and then we tie it into that bidding process. Now, it's still separate, but Moni can, by the consultant, he can actually administrate the bidding process. And they can do that, and then it ties it all together, without necessarily, taking your authority and actions on the contract, because it's still your contract, it's under the city's contracts. But, that's how that would work.
But it sounds like you guys, everybody just needs to get together,
Yeah.
finalize some of the plans. You know where the commission stands. We're willing to be a player, be a partner, however you wanna classify it, be a partner and get these 2 bridges fixed.
Mhm.
But the county is basically, as to this discussion, is committing to make, reimbursement to the bridge deck replacement of B number 2, I believe, B2?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bridge 2.
And that's what this discussion's about.
Right.
And so all we need now is to have that formalized agreement, drawn up with the attorneys.
I'll have Tom get in touch with Wade, and we'll get whatever document we need for that.
Okay.
I think to suit what Stan said, they didn't want to do them at the same time. I think it's gonna work out great, that it's not gonna happen at the same time
Yeah.
anyway.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, you can.
That one will be done, and
The Westland Bridge 1 will be done long
Be done,
before
yeah.
Bridge
Right.
2 gets.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions for Stan?
Okay.
Okay, appreciate you coming in,
All right.
giving us the update, and
All right.
proceed ahead.
Okay, thank you.
And thanks for, committing to, be part of the planning, community planning, so,
Yeah.
too. The
Yeah.
city of Burlington here last week agreed to be part of that, so.
I'll take my purple colors.
Yeah, take that purple out of here. All right, thank you.
I told Bob I had a problem, because they're committed to play Navy
Oh, yes, they are.
in the bowl.
Yeah.
I don't know which team to root for.
Okay. Thank you, Stan.
Yeah.
Okay, we're running a little bit ahead of schedule, so Wayne, are you ready for your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And before the meeting started today, I did make a comment that we're in a business atmosphere here. I don't want to see any use of any phones. Other than a presentation of showing something like that, I mean, I'd have no problem with that. But as far as phones going off or talking on the phone,
Okay,
it's gonna be
yeah.
breaks only.
Okay, yep. Have mine on silent.
John, I have a question on that.
Yes.
You know, I have to have my personal phone with me at all times, with the medical issue with my son. So there are times I may have to look and check in on him, with his medical device.
Okay.
Not to be disrespectful of your wishes, I've learned to silence that particular app, so I just wanted to let you know.
For a medical
that-
issue, I think we can fully understand, you know, we absolutely don't want to create an issue.
No.
More so than what it already is. And maybe that's not stated quite correctly, but I appreciate that.
I just,
So we're in a
I did
business
figure-
atmosphere, so.
right.
can we put a basket at the door and everybody put their phones in it?
I'm sorry?
Can we put a basket at the door and everybody puts their phones in it?
We could put it back, but then we wouldn't know which one's vibrating, which one needs to go pick it up.
Well, it's not gonna be mine, I don't think it'll be Fred's.
Mine's turned off. What do you got for us today, Wayne?
Okay, well, let's see, book.
I have a question, Don, while Wayne's looking through his book, because he just made the comment that the city of Burlington committed to it. Well, my two cities that I represent, I think, are committed to it. Are we looking at, do we have a formal letter from them saying they're committed, or how are we doing that? I mean, New Strawn and Gridley they told me they were committed to it. Yeah, let's go roll with it, so.
Well, I can go jump right into that. Actually, I had the city of Burlington, they had by motion, basically, agreed to be part of the community planning by motion, so we do have that. And then, and that's what I felt the direction was here last Monday. And then they also said that they were, just in consensus agreed to BG. Once again, the commission makes the final decision on the consultant. So I actually have scheduled to be at New Strawn on the 12th, Lebo on the 27th, Waverly on the 11th, Gridley on the 11th, and Leroy on the 30th. So I actually am planning to attend each one of these city council meetings and have that motion before them. So you'll have the motions on every one of these communities that's wishing to participate, and then also too, just by consensus of what consultant that they're preferring. And I'll just get that report back to you.
And Gridley both on the 11th.
Well, Gridley at 6, Waverly starts at 6, but they put me to the last of it, so I was hoping to get a police escort.
Well, that's not a
and-
problem. I can get a motion from each one of those cities. I mean, that's not a problem.
I know Leroy's in favor of moving ahead, so, but it sounds like Wayne wants to take it upon himself to meet with each one of them.
Yes.
And to me, that might be a little bit of plus to meet with each one of the city councils and visit with them for 10 or 15 minutes. They have specific questions, you'd be prepared to answer.
Yes, sir. That's where I'm at, so that helps, hopefully that helps that one out.
We already made the motion.
You guys have the motion on
We made the
this?
motion, we just didn't make a recommendation on the engineer.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
We did that at the last meeting.
let me, I'll get with you after this then.
Okay.
See if there's anything else I need to do there. Okay, so we have no road permits, no zoning permits, and we do have a pretty good meeting here next week, on the 18th. We have the, monthly waste, summary. And to get right into the motions, then the motion I have is to, approve a change order, and this would really this would be the starting date that we'd have for the guardrail. And so that's all we're asking to do there.
What was the issue on that?
They're not able to start at this point, and,
It wasn't in the spec or anything to start at a certain time?
it is. Basically, we have it to start about the middle of December, but they were not able to start. And so that actually works better for us as well, because we're needing to accommodate where we're taking out the rail, and then we fill in the rest of the shouldering, and then they would come back in and put the guardrail in at the same time. And,
Refresh me, how many bidders we had on that?
only two.
And who got, refresh me too, who's our contractor?
It was Folsom Brothers.
Folsom Brothers. I just wondered, I mean, if the other contractor knew we was gonna put off April 6th, but they got a better price.
At this point, I'm not for sure if that would have been the case or not. I don't. It works better
We had
for us.
one contractor give us a better price to wait till April to asphalt, but we took a higher price because we didn't wanna wait till April.
Yeah, that wasn't the case on this particular one. But it
But
works better.
You had it in the spec to start December 16th, now you're changing the spec to April 6th.
Yes, sir. Yes, that would be the change order.
But I'm not clear, but I think once we accept a contract, we can negotiate with the contractor we choose, isn't that correct?
Well, the contract's already signed, but yes, that's absolutely right. What we do is through the low bid, even prior to a contract, is I can visit with them, and there is some negotiation, availability. When we enter into the contract, which we are today, then it's a matter of making change orders as we need to. It's not uncommon for, say, change orders to occur or starting dates to change. It doesn't necessarily, we don't necessarily have to go back through the bidding process. You take the state of Kansas, for example.
When you're changing the start date for 4 months.
Yeah. But if I may, if you change the date, say, KDOT, for example, has changed several of their dates on, say, some road work, is they actually had changed them to the spring. We find too, in this particular instance, that, as it doesn't, basically, is not a good date for them to start, it also probably is not the best date for us to start as well. I would prefer more of a spring type, starting date, because one is, I think we can improve safety, with this change, is we can improve safety now starting in April versus.
Didn't you write the original spec to start on December?
Yeah, well, I wrote the original spec to be done before, January something, but yes.
I've dealt
And now you're
with,
saying you prefer an April start date, I don't get that.
I'm getting a request from the contractor to say the date would work, and I'm agreeing to changing the date, so.
I've dealt with a lot of change orders, but I've never dealt with the one to change a start date. So I don't know what the correct procedures are, where you have to.
Well, I know when we bid for the state, we can request a later start date, but it's usually only moving at 30 days, 30 to 45 days. This is almost 4 months. So it's,
Hopefully by requesting the change in the start date, their previous contracts have been delayed because of weather and not something that was pre-planned in the bidding process.
That's where I'm driving. That's where I'm
Would be
driving.
that'd be my question.
'Cause like I say, the other
And
contractor.
Wayne
that
can't
bid it-
answer, he can't answer, actually probably don't.
The other
know.
contractor that bid it may, if they know they could wait till April, may have dealt a better price.
I mean, comment about change orders, but I go right back to again what we just did a 3 weeks ago with the, salary consultant people. There was a change made. So Wade's approval at that time was you had to take it back, and I don't wanna postpone this, but gotta take it back and make it fair for everyone, so here we go again.
But we've already approved the contracts.
But we didn't approve it with, yeah.
No.
I know,
That's why this is different.
So.
Contractor's requesting the change order.
Yeah.
Was it a bonded project?
Yes, yes, they'll still require to maintain the bond through the process.
It's whatever, I guess.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been involved in a lot of change orders, but it's not on change of a start date. Got a motion before, so I'll go ahead and read it. 2019-35, based on the recommendation of the county engineer, move to approve the change order number 1 for B 1906-M guardrail replacement project, B 1906-M of bridge number 63 on 17th Planet Road to extend the start date from December 16, 2019 to April 6, 2020. Entertain a motion to approve.
That's a different.
Yeah, it was like,
Entertain a motion to
I'll go
approve.
ahead, I'll make that motion, I don't know if it's right. But I've made motions and they died for lack of seconds before, so I'll make that motion.
Okay. Bob has made a motion to approve 2019-35. Entertain a second. Once again, entertain a second for this.
where does it go if they don't get a second?
Well, what it amounts to is we force the contractor to make the bid or the starting date onto it. And so by doing so too, we force ourselves to accommodate our end of the contract as well.
I was gonna say, if we're not gonna have it ready to start next week, then
Mine is that with his inability to be able to start right then, I also see this as an advantage for us.
Does he give an explanation for his inability?
I think it's, as you already mentioned, is basically is a lot of projects have backed off a little bit because of the weather that we had in 2019. And so as a lot of people are behind, they're jumping to try to get those projects done. And so I think they're being pushed, and everybody, including ourselves, had to basically back off on our projected schedules. And so I believe that's where it's from.
Question, we're talking start date, is there an ending date?
They still have, I believe it's 30 days after the start date to finish it.
So they actually would have 30 days from December 16th as the way it is, right?
They would have until about the end of January, I believe it is, but I'd have to pull back on the contract and see.
Yeah.
Working days.
Mhm.
Of course,
Again, I don't-
if there's days that aren't conducive to doing the work, it would add to that.
Yeah.
I do like the start date, April 6th. You're getting out of your snow and your ice situations, safety. It could definitely be a safety a little better.
Mhm.
And that's why I, thinking of that particular instance, well, I'll second the motion.
Okay, we got a second by Tom. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, thank you. The next one is the accepting of the bids for bridge inspections. We did have the bid last year, I believe it was, $80 a bridge. Last year was the low bid, and that was Cook Flat. Not last year, 2 years ago. But this one, low bid, would be BG Consultants. They have done our bridges before. I am satisfied with their work. They do a good job. And so mine would be the low bid recommendation of $86.50 per bridge.
Cook Flat did it the last time.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Okay, Wayne's got before us motion 2019-47 based on recommendation of the county engineer and approval of the county attorney as to form. Move to approve the proposal of BG Consultants for 2020 biannual bridge inspections at $86.50 per bridge, and direct the county engineer to sign the agreement for said professional services. These amounts shall be paid from the special bridge fund.
I'll make the motion.
Cody has moved. Entertain a second.
Second.
Fred is second. Any discussion?
I like that. I would, for $131, I would go with Cook Flat for the simple fact that if BG had been doing it before, because I like the idea of a changeover. Every 2 years we get new eyes looking at it.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
And I would, you know.
That's where BG would be the change.
They would be the new eyes.
Mhm.
These are all concrete structures.
No, well, we only, no, not all of them. We have one bridge that is a wood structure.
But they're on our major traffic routes.
They're every bridge that we have within the county, anything that has a span greater than 20 feet, so required.
Just curiosity's sake, is the only reason I asked that.
Yeah.
Any other discussion or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, and what I have here is, there's 3 folks that I have visited with, 3 employees, but I have 2 that have their voluntary plan for resignation due to retirement available to you today. That would be J.R. Smith and Stan Butterfield. And so those would be for you. I have a 3rd one that had came in here Friday, and without his documentation, I would probably hold the name at this time. But his statement was February the 28th was his retirement. So I have 3 folks.
What are their dates? What are these 2 dates?
JR is January the 31st, and Stan is December the 31st. And so once we get the retirement parties out, we'll get some information out to the courthouse as well.
I can go ahead and get the plaques ordered then.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Is that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, no, appreciate it. Yeah, and I'll make sure Heather knows.
Okay.
That you did it with you.
So how many years of experience are we losing with these 2?
I haven't looked that up, but I'd probably say well over 50+ years. Yeah, I'd probably say so. Now, with that is, what I have is a hand-carried motion, and that would be to advertise for a full-time position. JR, even though he is retiring at the end of January, his particular position right now does basically require, or does require more instruction on how to do the job. So what I'm asking is to have somebody on board during that time, and then hopefully we can get JR to visit with them and work with them for at least 30 days. As he places the signs out there, follows the regulations, also the computer programs for our sign program and such as that there's more to it than just putting a sign on a post. There's also the regulations that need to be followed as well, the manual uniform traffic control devices, that if we have somebody that can do some training with them before they leave and depart, it would definitely make a better employee with boots on the ground. And so mine is to go ahead and ask through motion is to advertise and be able to fill that position.
This position, these 2 positions, I know Stan does tires. I don't know what else Stan does. Can one person fill both these positions?
That's a continued discussion that we've had, one in which Tom and I had visited about that we would continue to have, and that would be looking at our number of employees and saying, okay, what is the essential items or duties that we need to be able to accomplish? And I would like to have that discussion about basically that one position, but at a later date, not today. I believe that each one of these, it can be discussed, in which we should.
So who fills JR's spot when he's like not available on vacation, sick, so forth?
So is there anyone in-house that want to move up, or?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, well, we would advertise and then be able to get an employee that we feel would best fit that position. And so, is there anyone that has came to us and said, yes, they want to do JRs? Not that I'm aware of at this point, that I have.
Who fills in for JR?
Well, you're gonna have your foreman that's gonna fill in, and so that's gonna be Janet that's gonna fill in when, say, somebody's sick.
She takes JR's place when he's on vacation or killed.
Yes, that
So
would be
she's
correct.
kind of already aware of some of these regulations.
I believe so. There's gonna be part of that, but I also believe that JR would have a lot of insight on a one-to-one basis that would definitely help an employee trying to understand it. To be able to take away from Janet and being able to overall do her job, I'd find that basically be more efficient if we had JR there that could basically help that employee.
Can we legally promote somebody within without advertising?
Not, according to your policy manual, no.
I'd have to look at the manual, so.
Yes. Your but it says that you should, it doesn't say it's absolute, and as far as the legal side of it, I think that'd be a weight question, but I think your policy manual kind of drives it. Is that not right, Angie?
We
have
applied
to,
in-house before.
You can.
we apply,
advertised in-house
yeah, we
before.
advertise in, oh, well, if I misunderstood the question. Advertising means either inside or out.
That's
Yeah.
what, do we need to do outside if we've
You
got
don't have
qualified
to.
people inside?
No. Well, and generally what I'll do is,
Advertise it in-house.
advertise in-house first. That's always been the procedure before. Then we advertise out. Mhm.
Okay. Wayne's got a motion before us.
So this is to advertise in-house.
Well, but see, the thing is on the motion, if I just made it in-house, then that would mean I'd have to come back to you to advertise out if we don't find somebody. So,
2019, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Have you done the motion yet? Hold on, wait for discussion.
No, go ahead.
I'm curious, I ask us, what does Stan do besides tires? I mean, would it be beneficial to us of not contracting our tire work out?
well, I'd like to have that discussion when I start asking to fill that, but as you're entering into it now, there has been some discussion to say, do we need to have a full-time position doing that same activity? It's yet to be determined, but there is that option to say, can we contract some of this out? I believe there's going to be some options out there, but until we actually do the research and see who's available to do those big tires, I really don't have a way to answer it now.
I guess my concern is, I kinda like to tie them together. If we make this motion, we're hiring a full-time person for sign, seeding, mowing and all that. But if we can, hire one person that kinda says some of this, and if we have someone in-house who can kinda do some of this, maybe we're at the point, we hire this person, are we gonna be able to come back later and say, well, no, you're also gonna be doing this?
Well, to take them out of the sign, it really wouldn't be feasible to take them from that department and then have them come over and be able to do tires. It's a totally different activity. What we're looking at is being able to fill that function, that need, and if there is one area that's going to probably get you in a more liability type situation, and that would be signs. Okay, signs is going to be the liability situation. If you don't have that sign in its proper location, then you're also gonna be subject to what the manual uniform traffic control devices basically states. So if you don't have somebody that can be able to do that, you're gonna place yourself in a more liability situation with the county. The tire side of it is you can look at options, and what we would do is one is we would see who would be able to provide that service within our county, and see if they're basically willing to come in and do contracts. And then we'd enter into a contract for that. Now, does that replace the position or not? I think that's where we're gonna have that discussion. Do we replace that position or just do away with that position? I think it's a bigger subject, a larger discussion that we need to have, because we've talked about this before, about the 52 employees within our group. We've also talked about saying we're gonna have all of these retirees, or we're gonna fill these positions or not. I believe we need to have that discussion, there's no question about it. But at this point, I feel that this position is vital to have some initial instruction from the person that does that work. Yes, there are people that can help with it, but I feel also too, you're gonna get the best instruction from the person that does it all the time. And so by filling this position, so I have one position of the 3 that I'm asking to go ahead and fill, but the other 2 still lay out there for that future discussion. And that's really the take on this.
What is the other position? I mean, I don't need a name.
It would be a truck driver position.
I just think it's it's a unique situation that these 2 are leaving approximately at the same time, that we have that opportunity now, and I don't wanna forego that opportunity.
Well, I don't think we will, Bob, because the thing is that would have to be a discussion to fill that position. I think we need to go into that, those other positions. I think we need to go into that discussion and have that. But at this point, mine is, of the 3 that I know and have declared that they are gonna be resigning, I'm asking for 1, and to basically restate again is having that experience there where that person can show them a little bit more than just say any other type of position that we have.
Who's gonna take care of your tires? Stan retires 12/31. Who will do your tires in the meantime before we replace that individual?
Well, at this point, that is something we're gonna have to take a look at it. At this time, I do not believe we have anybody that can do the big tires.
Yeah.
So the small tires, which would be like the truck tires, the dump truck tires, the vehicle tires, at this point, we'd be looking at our local suppliers, dealers that can do that, service departments.
My thought on hiring somebody for the signs, and 60 days down the road said, well, we're gonna add the tire job description to you.
Well, the job
To me,
description's
that's-
already there,
To
but
me, that's not
no.
treating that individual fair. We've hired him specifically for the sign department, all of a sudden you increase his responsibilities into the tires. To me, that's probably not right.
I agree, and I would go back once again, that position for signs does not really accommodate a person being able to do both. That has to be something, that's a totally different department, and as far as the skills that would be required into it, it's a totally different skill set than what's needed for the sign group. The sign group on that particular job is more technical, because there are needs to be able to enter in on the computer information. There's needs to information as far as the retroreflectometer, the device that we use to check basically the sign facing to make sure that we're meeting the state and federal requirements. There's also instructions on the ability to place signs, how to place signs when we have obstacles, how do we basically adjust for those. We even talk about our object markers and different things like that. This is more of a technical type position that does not allow itself to expand to that one that's just totally different in that field. So mine would be never, not to have that position ever tied into a tire one. Mine is to have that discussion later, because as I said, there's a truck driving one, there's a tire, which is a mechanic position actually. And so you have those two still at options for future discussion. I feel that's where we need to be, there's no question about it. We're gonna get there.
I have no problem advertising for the assigned person, so I guess I'll make that motion.
I'm not sure whether I need to read it or not, but it's motion 201955, based on the recommendation of county engineer, move to approve the request for authorization to advertise and hire full-time equipment operator for signs, seating, mowing shop. This request to be filled a vacant position due to retirement to fill their equipment operator for the sign, seating, mowing shop. Tom is so moved. Entertain a second. Go ahead, Fred.
I'll second.
Fred is moved, or second. Any other discussion?
My discussion would be that it would be offered available in-house first.
Mhm.
And if you hire someone outside, I mean, I'm assuming we sent JR to years of classes and schools to learn how to be this individual. I mean, if we hire somebody from outside and we gotta send them to school as well, we might as well be doing it in-house.
Yeah. No, it always goes that way for me.
Okay.
Always advertising in-house.
All right.
Any other discussion or question? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
With all the holidays, you're not gonna get a lot of days out at JR. Between now and January 31st.
Well, we're having that problem with, as we're coming to the end of the year, we're having that problem right now. Up to about maybe 10 folks are taking different times off. So it is challenging. So far we just hadn't had the weather. But we've had times before, even this last year, where folks actually would forego their vacation just to come in and help us with the snow and ice. So we did have that. Construction zone just really didn't change too much from last week. As we're continuing activities as we can based on weather, that's what we're doing. And so that's where we're at right now at this point. And the other one is, I do have, it's beyond construction zone unless you have some questions on construction zone. I would ask that if, I know we've had a long, distinct conversation on employees or hiring an employee, but I'm going to go back to, is there a chance, would you entertain approval for 2 employees that basically are two folks that are going to school, college. They worked for us here last summer. Now they're at their winter break. And we do have some work that we can put them up basically doing, and that's what we're calling our digitizing our plans. Is here last summer, we started with that as we actually had Jordan Black in our engineer's office upstairs, and he was taking photos of all the plans that we had on those hanging shelves. I don't know if you all recall those hanging shelves, the ones that were down in the basement there at the courthouse. And so we had he had done all of those, and we put those away. Then they were both working on, also too, they were both working on the FEMA work, all the flood work that we had. And so we were very thankful for their time. But they do have some extra time left. Initially, we hired them at 560 hours. But Jordan had 86 and a half hours left of that, and Jed had 192 hours left of that. And I didn't know if you would entertain my ability to go ahead and hire him during the winter break for 3 to 4 weeks. And that would carry him over. We do have some work in the engineer's office to do. And so what would be your thoughts there on that one?
Well, I'm not in favor of hiring somebody just because we didn't give them all the hours that we had hired them for.
No, I have work for them. I wouldn't want to do that either, but I do have work that I think would be productive, as we continue to try to make room in our office to get rid of these old, paper plans and actually make, digital copies of them.
Well, my thought is, if it's something that they could specifically do and get everything up in a better position, and they've got the hours left from the 560, I'd have no problem working with these two young men. I know Jet, I don't know Jordan, but like Bob, I don't want to start adding hours above the 560. In fact, I'd be against that, but they've got hours left that we technically set up last March or April.
Yes, sir.
So,
Well, I don't think we set the hours up that we're gonna guarantee you 560 hours.
No, there's no way, Bob, I understand that, yeah.
But,
Yeah, we're not guaranteeing the 560, we don't guarantee the 1,000 that we set up.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's
But
correct.
we're not gonna exceed the 560, and we're not gonna change anything to exceed the 560. So I don't know how, did we have an end date on the original motion for them?
I don't believe there's an end date on those motions. I think it's just the
For the
560.
temporary employees?
I think the
That's
no more
560
than
would,
560.
I think
Yeah.
it says summer help. I'm not-
yeah, I believe it is.
I'm not sure it's got a
Temporary
date on it,
help
it's
or
got
something.
summer help.
temporary
Summer
help,
help.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Some-
temporary summer help.
Is it a summer help on it? Okay. Yeah, temporary summer help.
You don't have anyone in the office that has spare time that could be working on this?
At this point, no, we don't. We're pretty swamped.
With the winter coming on, there's gonna be days that some people aren't gonna be doing very much, isn't there? Can they be doing some of this stuff?
There are those for, some of the folks, basically that's out in the field. You know, we're not gonna be laying asphalt or anything like that. There's times we're not gonna be laying gravel and different things like that. But, that particular one is, technical in the aspect of you're gonna take a digital picture and then you're gonna place it in the computer and then be able to put it in the right location. And so, we would leave that to folks that would be able, that we trained, to be able to do that. These young men have done that. And actually, as I say, we took all of our hanging files. I wish I could quantify how many plan sets that have been, but we have a product now that we can go back and do research on and actually have records of all these digital plans now. So by having the same folks, I can get more work done that has done it. If I try to basically bring somebody fresh and new, just because they have an extra day, it doesn't necessarily mean they have an extra day, because a lot of times, Bob, as we basically are doing during the winter months, is they're also doing work, maintenance on their equipment. So, you know, we're keeping them busy. Yeah, we're keeping busy. So we have that. But I believe I would need your permission to put them back on payroll, so Angie can, accommodate that. Now, how to do that, Angie, I'd just ask your help on that, if you're thinking a motion or however they would need to do it, if that's agreeable with the commission, to, put those two employees, back on payroll, not to exceed the 560 hours, if you wanted to.
How much, what are the hours left?
Jordan got 86 and Jen had...
Yeah, 192, yes, sir. Yeah,
So I think I would use those hours in your motion.
okay. So,
From the
hours
leftover.
remaining not to exceed, 560 hours, or,
Well, no, I would say the motion for how many, 87?
80, yeah, 86 and a half, and 192, and,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
I would use those numbers that would fulfill the 560 summer help, temporary summer help
Okay.
hours.
Could you help us with the motion on that
It
one?
doesn't really pertain to the summer help anymore, because he's just bringing them back. This is just the
Yeah.
hours that we had authorized that had not been used.
Temporary
Temporary.
temporary
I would
employees,
maybe say temporary winter help.
yeah. Jordan Black and Jed Harvey.
Yeah.
Jordan would be 86 and a half hours or 87 hours.
My thought is keep them both equal. don't let them get over 86.
Okay. However you'd like to do it.
Or they've already had a little bit of training where you wouldn't have to sit down for a day or two to train them?
That would be correct. They have done this work before.
Okay, they've done that, so you wouldn't have to train them for anything.
No.
Well, our summer help, we got a set hour for everybody when they bring them back, right? We bring somebody back for summer.
Well, we keep them within that framework, either 560 or 1,000.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I kind of agree with Don, the 86 or whatever.
You wanna keep them all at the 87 or 86, how we want to do it?
It's 160 some hours they're giving you, so that
Mhm.
should help a little.
It will.
Get quite a bit done.
Yeah, we'd have, at least 2 weeks for both of them.
Yeah. You got something put together for us, Angie?
I'm working on it.
Thank you.
Don't mean to hurry you.
No, it's okay. Jack Harvey, what was the other kid's?
Jordan Black and Jed Harvey. The last subject I have would be, as we're extremely busy right now, we're gonna be trying to close out the year. We also are looking at our 2020 projects, and to which I would be bringing before you the plan. But we also schedule a tour, a county tour, and we haven't done that. We're kind of behind schedule here, actually about 30 days or so. But mine would be, is there a date that would work for you? Would you like pick a date that we could do a county tour? And could I look at my phone for that? I have a calendar on my phone.
There's one right back there.
Well, the phone has activities that's in the calendar, so I would have to say if I'm available or not, Mr. Tom.
Hopefully after the first of the year.
Well, we can if you like. Mine is to try to present to you the projects that we have done, and which I could still do. I can give a verbal presentation.
I'm not available at all next week after Monday, and the following week being Christmas.
Yeah, if it's not next week, I don't think it's gonna work this month, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my meeting.
As far as the tour itself?
Yes.
Okay. Would you then entertain a verbal report of projects that we've done, just a recap? And then as far as projects that we're proposing is be a draft form, and what I'll do is just present it inside the chambers. And then what we could do is, through that draft form, we could schedule a tour to go out and take a look. And then make final comments in January. But what we're ultimately doing is also agreeing on these projects as I keep working forward for 2020. By motion is you're agreeing to the 2020 projects. So mine would be as quickly as we could, we would try to get that finished up. Okay.
If that's something that work for you, Wayne, I think it'd be better to do the tour
Okay.
next year.
All right. I'll do
These
that.
next 2 to 3 weeks are gonna be pretty well filled up with lots of activity.
Okay.
Angie, do you have something
I
put
do.
together for us?
Move to authorize county engineer to hire Jet Harvey and Jordan Black as temporary winter help not to exceed 87 hours. These hours are leftover temporary summer help hours, originally not to exceed 560 hours.
87 hours each.
87 hours each. Okay.
Got a motion on the floor. Anybody wanna move to adopt it? Also move, entertain a second.
Second.
Cody a second, any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
I thank you, and now, once again, this was a continuation of employment that we had for this summer. It's not to sidestep advertising. It was basically these employees were working for us this summer as temporary. We're asking for the same work that they've done for us here this summer. So I do appreciate it, and thank you for allowing me to bring it up shortly, in a short notice.
Just gonna ask again, you said you were gonna be without a tire man after December 31st,
Yes, sir.
and if we were going to explore contracting the tire service out, you're gonna need to be really quick to try to determine who in the area would be willing to do that.
Yes.
Maybe if they're not doing it now, they might be willing to take it on in addition to what they're doing now.
That's gonna be, but that's a good point, and that's the discussions that I need to be having with the folks that we know do the service now. There is an option too, is to, go ahead and advertise for that type of service if we know, somebody else that might be interested into it. But ultimately, I would say that we're probably going into some type of contract type situation, or know what the fees are associated with it. But absolutely, Fred, we've been talking about it for the last
I'm
couple of
gonna
weeks.
say you don't have much time left.
We don't have
If
much
you have
time.
a tire issue, you're out in the field anyway, right?
Say again,
If you have
sir.
a tire issue, are you not in the field anyway, or on the road or something?
When we have a tire, yes, when we have a tire issue, say on a tractor or something like that, that we cannot get in, then our tire guy goes there and takes the tire off. But a lot of times we can move our equipment, on our lowboy, and then basically transfer it to get it taken care of too. It will become a problem if we're not able to do it, within our county.
There isn't really a local mobile tire
That's right.
service other than.
That's right.
Yes. Yes, that's right. And that option
Contract
itself,
out, make a little money.
it may even be presenting itself, as a business that, later, a business that will develop, after retirement. But, we can't entertain that at this point. We just need to see what our options are. So, yes, there's been a lot of discussion, and also the retirees, that's been a lot of discussion how we're gonna do it. But I think the thing is I'm gonna need still input from, Wolf Creek. Is that the deciding factor? Because that continues to pop up. Is the 52 employees required to be part of that Wolf Creek development?
That's something you need to do some discovery on.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wayne.
Okay, 52 employees, good for the highway department? I got a thumbs up, we're good.
It's a discussion we'd have to have with Russell on what exactly in the plan for, the amount of road closures and state requires cover.
That's the seriousness of it, and that's really where it's always been, as I've been told up to this point, is that was our cutoff number. Now, what we do with them, as far as maintaining full force.
I just didn't know if that was in a manual somewhere, or,
Yeah.
that's why I keep asking that.
But I would like to, since we did bring that up, I would like to have that official, so we can have that official response. This doesn't keep popping up, that we can say, are we 52 required to be able to do it or not? That'd sure help us out.
Yep.
So you guys wanna know what the minimum required,
For the highway department to be able to assist Wolf Creek as per their, permit.
That subject has come up quite often, Matt. It is something we need to do some discovery on and get a response from Wolf Creek.
Because that's gonna affect how we look at it as well within our department.
And I don't know if it's really a number for highway department, it's for a required number of personnel from the county that you guys need, not from any certain department.
right, most things are like, you have to be able to perform a function. Now, how many people you assign, how you do it, that what's residing.
Then it's our responsibility to see where they come from.
So we'll look and see if we've got any words specific to the number of people.
That would be great.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Wayne, appreciate it.
Okay.
I keep hearing it too, I don't know what I had time to it.
It's all right. I did most
I
of
was
it
kept wondering why
Friday.
you just wasn't doing nothing.
I did most of it Friday.
No.
Okay, we're running just a little bit behind right now. Are you Mr. Edelman?
Yep.
I'm not very good at pronouncing names, so I hope I got it somewhere close.
You did good.
Victor, welcome to the Commission of Chambers. I'm Don Meeks, pleased to meet you.
Cody.
How you been, Victor?
Good. Good seeing you.
How's your old man?
He's doing good. He's
Good.
doing a lot better now.
Good deal.
So in remission and stuff, so. So I guess I'm asking for disaster relief for 217 West 6, which is a house that we owned and we rented out. So on August 30th, the house caught fire. Renters got out, everybody was safe, but it was a total loss. The insurance company declared it a total loss. They did not figure out what caused it, but that was during that storm where we had that 90-mile-an-hour straight line wind. And so this is the current picture right now. It's been demolished, landscaped, all taken care of, so basically 4 months of the year that house was not usable, so the improvements on the property were not available. So I'm asking that the county relieve at least a third of the taxes on that property, because for a third of the year there was no improvements on the property.
Is that within our jurisdiction or the appraiser's?
I've never done this, and I have.
We did it in 2015, yep.
This is the first time I've seen anything like this,
Okay.
so I'm not sure where to go.
Yes.
I'm not sure
Thanks,
either.
Angie. Where do you think?
We're all in the same boat, aren't we? Vic?
Yep, this is where they told me I had to go, so.
And our county council's not available.
Okay, so in 2015, there was an abatement of property taxes on a structure destroyed by fire at 719 North 4th in Burlington. And then you made the motion to approve the application for tax relief pursuant to the statute and sign Coffee County Commissioners Disaster Relief Determination, which I just gave you for that property. So you have.
And Victor's asking for a third. How much is on that one?
I'd have to go
Which is
back.
probably immaterial, I mean.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and pull that, but we could put that in the motion.
Is this, I mean, I know it's our call, but is this something we'd like to have Connie here just to understand, so she would know what's going on, since she is the appraiser for this?
Do you want to run a copy down?
So she's aware of what is going on.
And she is, because I spoke with
She
her
is?
about it, yeah, but, I mean, that's fine, bring her.
How big of a lot? Is that on one lot, two lots, or what is it?
It's one lot.
One lot?
It's,
Do you know
lot 6.
Do you know what the taxes are?
Total tax was, $506.44 for 2019.
$506.44, and you want us to?
So a third would probably,
A third.
$170.
Yeah, the improvements weren't available for a third of the year, so.
You're not wanting to retroactive this back anytime, are you?
No, just, I was getting ready to pay this year, and I'd just like to have it reduced to by a third, because improvements were not available, to rent out, or.
When was the fire?
It was August, it's right on here, August 30th.
August 30th.
John, if you'd like to go ahead and ask him those questions and check the boxes on,
Okay,
Should be down in a minute.
okay. Victor, was the structure destroyed or substantially destroyed a homestead?
Yes.
Which is just
you check mark it.
Was the homestead destroyed or substantially destroyed by earthquake, fire, flood, storm, or tornado, and/or was a destructive event declared a disaster by the governor of Kansas?
It was destroyed by fire.
But it was not declared as a disaster by the government.
No.
So I still answer that yes? To me, it's,
I gotta look at how it's set up.
Was the homestead destroyed or substantially destroyed by earthquake, fire, flood, storm, or tornado, and/or? Yes.
yes. To me, we still answer that yes and be. Was the homestead destroyed or substantially destroyed?
Yes.
Then they've got the in parentheses, destroyed or substantially destroyed means the cost of restoring the homestead to its before damaged condition would equal or exceed 50% of the market value of the structure before damage occurred.
Yes.
Based on the date of this event, check the appropriate tax abatement. Abatement, this event occurred after January 1st, but prior to August 15th.
It happened August 30th.
August 30th. This event occurred after January 1st, but prior to August 15th.
That's correct.
And the credit, this event occurred on after August 15th and prior to January 1st of the next year. This credit can be applied to the property tax of the owner over the next 3 years.
So you check the credit.
Yeah. Documents provided. Written estimate of repairs or rebuilding costs by a licensed contractor, deed of ownership, a copy of contract, if buying or contract of title of it, manufactured home, photos of others. Of course, you got photos. You don't, there's nothing else required, I assume. Is therefore ordered based on the above information that the Board of County Commissioners of Coffee County grant. No abatement will be granted. Abatement / credit of percentage, blank percentage, of the property tax or tax year 2019 of the parcel. Then it's got the parcel number. Number 101-127, then a whole bunch of numbers. Connie, we haven't experienced anything like this. Victor's asking for 1/3 abatement
I know
on
we
this
did
year's
it on-
taxes, which is approximately $170.
We did it on that property just north of Pizza Hut here in town, several years ago, and that's the only other one that I know of that we've done it with. The fire was when?
August 30th.
August 30th, and it's totally,
Yeah, the insurance company totaled it, and,
you're not gonna rebuild or do anything?
I have not decided what I'm gonna do with the empty lot yet.
Okay.
But you did take it upon yourself to clear the lot completely off, so it's all there now.
Yes, it's cleared, it's seeded, it's all taken care of.
Okay.
I don't want the liability of,
And Victor's asking for 1/3 off.
So Connie, will you go, you or your office go take a look at it and then redo
We
the
will do
evaluation?
the 2020 value, we don't do anything with 2019, it's already done.
And you're just asking for the 2019, Victor, is that
Yeah.
correct?
the 2020 will take care of itself once I
We have
look
to
at
phrase it how it was January 1st,
Okay.
so that's.
Well, I'll move that we abate 1/3 of the 2019
Yeah,
taxes.
we do have a motion moved to approve the application for tax relief pursuant KSA 79-1613 and sign the Coffee County Commissioners Disaster Relief Determination for 217 West 6th Street, West 6th, Lebo, Kansas, 66856 for Victor Edelman. Fred is so moved.
Does it give the amount?
It's on
The amount will
the,
be on the disaster
I've
relief
moved.
determination.
Fred is moved, entertain a second.
Second.
Cody is second, any discussion?
This is exactly, I commend Victor, he had insurance paid off, he addressed the issue, nuisance structure is gone, a lot looks good,
That's the way to handle it.
and it happened in August.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, next time I have a discussion about a nuisance property, keep Victor in mind.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you coming.
this?
yeah,
That's
we'll
okay,
keep
Angie.
those with that, thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Yep.
So Albert, I said hello.
I will.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. I will.
Today, I'm gonna let you fill that percentage in on where you want to put 33.33, because
Yeah.
it is a percentage, so I'll let you finish that.
Yeah.
You do have quite a few documents here to sign before we close out today. ready for a roundtable. Angie, do you have anything to bring before the commission today?
I do. I was gonna hand the report out. Take one and pass it on, if you would. Let me get another one. A couple more. Just a second.
We want to send this letter, it's the one for,
You have which one, tax abatements?
no. Angie has.
Angie, here.
Here's the letter for me to run on Christmas letterhead to accompany the gift certificates. That's the one from boards, appointed boards, court, and this is the one for county employees.
Okay, sorry about that. There's two more for you guys too. Okay, so what this is the, reserve funds. I think I handed this spreadsheet out to you guys back earlier this year, possibly, from 2005 up until last year, or what the total are in each of the funds. And as you can see, the funds have increased since 2005. That's when I took over as county clerk, and we started keeping track of what these funds were and how much we were putting in each year and all that. So since we have new commissioners, I was looking at my calendar and trying to figure out everything I gotta get going here. So my question was, in previous years, you've had me do your year-end transfers, but as a new commission now, I don't know if you have someone else in mind you want to do your transfers, or if you're wanting to hire someone. So I wanted to check with you on that. The money that we've increased from '05 up to now has helped a lot in investing and bringing more money to the county. But I just wanted to check with you to find out how you wanted to go forward with that for the end of this year. So.
I think it's been working pretty good, the way we've been doing it.
I'm sorry, Bob.
I think it's been working pretty good myself, the way we've been doing it, except usually it's our call in the end anyway, so.
Right. But I just wanted to
Any other discussion?
find out what you wanted to do.
Do we need to take any action, or just the
No.
consensus of the board to continue to do what you've been doing?
Okay, I just wanted to check because, like, new boards, do you want to change things? I just want to give you that, you know, if you are, so.
Any other comments or discussion?
I do not have any.
Angie, I had, the commissioners approve budget year-end transfers, and have everything to you by 5 o'clock on Tuesday, December 17th. Is that date gonna be okay?
It's a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, that'll work. I mean, I'm thinking if that's gonna be, if we could give them a few more days, but that'll be fine, I think.
Okay.
That date will work for you, Angie?
Yeah.
Okay. You have anything else, Angie, to bring before the commission?
I do not.
Our risk management reserve,
Yes.
on that, did we cap it from
Um,
18 to 19? I mean,
We-
does it stay the same, or is it just,
When we originally set this fund up, I think it was Kenneth's thought, to get it up to at least 6, but then as we've kind of been thinking about if you had 10 people with big claims.
Yeah.
We're kind of wondering if we shouldn't go a little bit more, maybe stop at 10, maybe if we can get it there, but it's gonna take a few years to get it there. But, and so that's basically your guys' call, but thinking about, it's been a few years since we've had, about 10 or 12 large claimants, and so we wanna just protect the county in that case and maybe have enough cash if we ever had to pull from that, so.
Good idea.
Yes, we talked about moving that clear up to 10 before.
Yeah, we did, and so,
See, 2 years ago, we added 2.7 to it, which got it up to the 5 where it's at now, so.
right, and I've actually been able to find the numbers to present to you guys, more, I mean, it's grown quicker than what I thought we could get it there, so.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments or questions on this at this time?
Is there any particular funds you want me to focus on this year to increase? I mean, we've got the capital improvement plan. I might need another copy of that one, Donna.
Okay.
Just to make sure, because I tried to make sure you had enough there to cover out for 5 years on that. And so we might want to put a little in there too, but, is there anything else you want me to work on building up when you guys are making your decisions, so it's kind of pre-prepared, and we can always make changes that day?
My thought is just bring to us what you've been doing, and if we want to evaluate and make changes
Okay.
a little bit later, we can do it.
Are you considering a new sale to landfill for next year?
Oh, yeah, we'll have that,
That will still, we'll have that.
that's gonna be automatically for the solid waste closure reserve fund, that'll be added to the.
No, it's not what I'm talking, because we're gonna build new land, I think we're opening up a new sale.
Oh, that's on your capital plan, I think.
That's a capital.
Yeah, I think it's on your capital plan.
And that's in, okay, already in here.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'll just,
Any other comments for Angie? Okay, just proceed
I
and then.
kind of started looking at things, and then I thought, well, I probably ought to ask how you wanna do it this year before I get too deep into it, so.
You got anything
That's it.
else, Angie, for the commission?
No.
Fred, do you have anything for the commission today?
Yes, I do. Something happened earlier in the week that caused me to kind of re-examine my thoughts on what's going on in the county, and I guess what I want to say is, we've talked about freedom of speech a lot, and yet we haven't talked about the responsibility of speech. And I'd just like for us to consider that sometimes before we speak. That's all I've got to say.
Okay. Yeah, I think we gotta be very careful about what we say outside the chambers. So, Tom, do you have anything to bring before the commission today?
Not at this time. I'll go back to Victor Edelman taking ownership responsibility, getting his insurance money, getting rid of a dangerous structure. That's where I go back to again, maybe somebody.
Use them as an example.
Yeah,
Doing
use
what
him
you're
as
supposed to-
example
of doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, or, I mean, I don't, I've been pushing to hire somebody to make, to ask, not to maybe make, I don't wanna use the wrong terminology here, to enforce some sort of code to where a landowner would have to do something like that. I mean, here in the city of Burlington, a couple structures been gone about as long as that, and
Yeah.
they're still standing, so. I don't know. I don't have to have the answer, but I always wanna bring it up, so.
That's, looks like, they took it upon themselves to get the lot cleaned up, get it to where it's looking good, so that's what needs to happen most of the time.
When I went to Needham Lindsay brought it to us, it was about the one in Jacobs Creek. Why they haven't moved on that one, I don't know.
Okay. Bob, do you have anything?
Yeah, I do.
Today for the commission?
I'll stay here and just hand these out, but these are just some, last week I was talking about, I thought maybe we ought to do different avenues, but I just want you guys to read this. This is Lynn County. It probably relates more with Coffee County than the other county in the state of Kansas. This is how they do some of their stuff. They don't really have an economic development program. There's a lot of alternatives and stuff they have here, of how they take care of theirs, and it seems to be working for them pretty good. Actually, I was in a meeting with Ricky James, their chairman, 2 days last week, and we discussed some of this stuff. Says it works real good for them. I don't think it's not too late for us to take a look at it, even though we've decided to go out and advertise. It's still not too late for us to take a look and try to do something. I think that there's better ways to do than what we've been doing. And this is what I was talking about, how other counties do different things and all that. It's here. Ricky James is the chairman at Lynn County, if you want to call him. The other two commissioners, I can't recall their names, but, and I'm sure there's other counties around that do some of this same kind of source stuff. So I just thought this information I got, and I'd just like to pass it on to you. Take a look at it. Then you do whatever you want to do with it. Pitch it, that's fine too. Something to look at.
Well, I think it's an important area for the county, and I think we need to keep our eyes open and do all the discovery we can on the best ways for us to move forward to promote our county, so.
I totally agree. I will make a point to read through it.
Appreciate the information, Bob.
That's it.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, Cody, you have anything?
Nope.
And I don't have anything that I'm aware of to bring forward. Do you have anything, Donna?
Fred, you have fiberboard on Tuesday,
Right.
and, Tom, I guess you have your meeting today, out of Kansas. And then keep in mind to put on your calendars, which you probably saw in your correspondence, that the jail is wanting to do, sheriff's office is wanting to do the jail study interviews on Monday the 16th. 1 o'clock with GGA and 3 o'clock with Trainer. He gave me a memorandum, so.
What day is that?
It's on Monday the 16th.
Next Monday, yeah, that's what I've got.
And then the 18th, then they're doing the third one at 2 o'clock with HMN.
All three of them will be next week, Monday and Wednesday afternoon.
Just to make sure you don't put anything on.
I'll be gone
that
to the
date.
18th, unless inclement weather aborts my mission to travel south.
I did speak to these last ones. We've got some documents to sign before we adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, either cancel my 1 o'clock appointment in the Chanute, or can I sign those later, or?
We only need 3 signatures, so you don't have to sign later, or you can come in and sign either way.
It's your choice.
I know Tom mentioned before, either during your meeting or before the meeting, that he needed Ben Yates or Chanute at
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Yeah, it's for the Southeast Kansas
As
planning.
far as I know, everything's done except for signing some of our
Okay.
documents that we have before us.
I won't do that. We can do that. You can come in and look at them later. Here, I don't know how quick you,
Well,
how fast you
I'll
drive.
watch the video later to make sure you didn't forge my signature.
Thanks for coming, man. Have a good day.
2.
sign.
This,
No.
this yellow folder I have before me right now,
Huh?
this yellow folder I have before me right now has got 6 or 7 checks. And, I haven't gone through these, of course. There's approximately $15,000 on card services. So,
Give him Cody, he'll go through them.
The sheriff's department.
need to review them.
I would definitely make a point to read that.
Thank you.
But I feel in order for me to make it there by 1, have a little bit of a
Crunch.
sanity.
Still on tonight.
He's with,
That kind of,
yeah.
Could you sign this one too, John?
I'm sorry,
You missed this one. This was on the other, or folder.
everybody sign on
Yeah.
that.
You're gone.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Take care, Tom.
Oh, next, week, the 16th, is the, I believe it's the 16th, is the wellness awards deal, isn't it?
Yes, the circuit ceremonies, yes.
Circuit ceremony. That would be at 9 o'clock,
9
right?
o'clock, yep.
Right after we go in session.
And Bob, our insurance meeting with Sally and Jeremy is on the 18th. They're gonna be here, I think about 11:30, I believe.
Okay.
So, mid-year review.
Fred, you went back to Picasecki and had a cardboard sandwich, huh?
Yep, they told me they would like for me to be there for these drills, and I kinda got some, what I think, a good education on what goes on up there on the second day. So I was glad to be there, really. And if, when I'm gone, they would like somebody to be there.
But it doesn't have to be a commissioner.
Doesn't have to be a commissioner.
And that's what I'm saying, I think we can get
And I told them that
good
also.
represent people and not be a commissioner, because
Yeah.
in real life, there's probably not gonna be a commissioner sitting up there.
But they're aware of that, so we talked about that. But they would like to have a liaison up there.
They're doing so well.
I don't think I missed anything.
Okay, thank you.
Albert had cancer.
I'd heard that he did, but I don't know to what extent, how serious it is. It must
Yeah.
be serious.
Sorry.
This is the memorandum to go out to the department heads regarding budget year-end transfers.
Okay, this is what we were emailed with. We need to initial this, first initial or sign.
Just in either. Just put it up here by your name, okay?
We ought to put it, camera up here, faces that way, so we get a 360 of this on,
Thank you.
for security reasons.
Somebody wanna call Randy and ask him if he's around here, if he can come up? $400 purchase of a Bully Dog 40470 BDX diagnostic and performance tuner for vehicles. I don't know exactly why we need that.
What does it do?
So you can reprogram your ECM with in your vehicle. Change fuel maps, mission crew.
Supposedly make it get better mileage.
Surely they, commodity should have that stuff.
Well, this is so you can upload
Balance
someone
time, so.
else's custom calibration
Okay.
on the factory. May or may not be emissions compliant, may or may not be.
Karen, when does the tax deal go to this company that, so we no longer can stop it then?
I've already sent it to them,
They already have
Talk to
it,
Becky.
yeah.
so
Becky.
it is
She's
in
gonna try to get
process
one.
and
It's in process,
Left my
so
door
if anybody that
open.
calls now, I give them that number for them to get a hold of that company and see. I haven't had
Big four.
anybody actually pay. I think they'll still pay through us, but I haven't had any contact with the company.
You want those?
Sure. Thank you. finished with your book, Bob?
Yes, I am, thank you.
What you got? Your bully dog programmer.
Yeah.
What's that for?
It's a vehicle chipper to increase speeds from the factory settings. In other words, like on a pickup, the factory settings are at 96 miles an hour, but we can put a higher speed rating tire on, which then we have to program it to
Right, you have to reflash
go
it
faster.
to
Yeah.
remove that.
Yep.
And that's how you're doing that, instead
Yep.
of going back there forward.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Ford doesn't like to do it. Goes against their factory settings, and we normally wait to do it. I will add, we normally wait to do it till they're out of warranty.
Well,
Because
do
most
they,
of the
do they
main,
even warranty police vehicles?
they will,
For like a
336. 36,000 miles is done in a year.
If they won't warranty it with that on it.
But they won't normally, they like to argue about it because
It's
if,
a good excuse to get out of
it is, if you do it under warranty and they say what you did caused such and such damages, then they get out of the warranty that way. So normally we try to avoid, we don't always do it, but it usually doesn't take long to get out of 36,000 miles either. So,
I noticed some missing receipts and some.
There was a couple.
Well, there were more.
Oh, was there?
There were the two missing, but there were more that weren't itemized meal receipts, and that was the big one. Just, if you wanna remind everybody.
I agree. I'll go through it again when you guys, I'll have my Angie pull it up and
Well,
look
and
at
it's
it.
just
Because they're supposed to be itemized, I agree.
well, tell everybody, just remind them.
Right. I agree.
Anyway, okay.
So,
No, that makes sense.
was there quite a few itemized, meal receipts? I mean, I'm just asking.
I know there were at least 4 that I
Okay,
picked out.
that's what
on
I
the
need to know.
receipts, but
That's what I need to know.
There's,
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
No.
they need to fix it.
But it came away, long ways.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doing better.
Last 2 months were awesome.
Doing better.
Absolutely appreciate everything.
We got a neat little.
Our auditors required, so we have.
Well, we need to do the best we can and try to expect perfection and not fall short of that, if possible. So we need to find out, I will send a reminder out on the itemized meal receipts. I'll get her done. I thought I was gonna get hit with the gavel.
You want,
Yeah, take.
No, I gotta get back down.
they're really good.
That gives you a pretty good bump on your head.
Randy, while you're here, if you got a minute,
Yes, sir.
the interview is set for 1 o'clock.
Oh, yes, yes.
On the 16th.
I was gonna check to see if that is
really
possible or
the
not.
commission as a whole can do, or is that?
I guess that's kinda up to you guys.
The way I understood Mike, the sheriff's department was gonna do the interview, and we're just gonna sit and listen.
I mean,
Just kind of the way it was presented.
yeah.
I don't think it'd be any different than when we interviewed the compensation classification.
Right.
studies. I mean, if you're here and you had a question, you ask a question. If we're here and we have a question, we ask a question.
That's the way I kinda saw it too. I
Who's
mean,
gonna take the lead on it, Cody?
I don't know. Mike want to, you want to?
See, somebody's gotta take the lead.
I figured we would
I
take
kinda
the lead
understood-
on
I
it.
kinda understood Mike was gonna take the
Yeah, I
lead on the
think-
sheriff's department, and we were gonna be observing and have the opportunity to ask questions
Right.
if we had
I
questions.
think I was gonna have Mike take the lead as far as him and Tasha, because they're the ones that have worked on it and orchestrated the architects into familiarity. And then ask questions, and some standard questions of all of them, of course, and then individual questions. I guess, I'm game to whatever, though, this is kind of a first for me, too, so, I've not ever set in on anything like this. This is the first time, so, what would you guys prefer to do?
Sounds good to me.
I think it should be your deal.
Yeah.
Who's GGA?
That is what is their name? They have a regular name, we just abbreviated GGA. They were the architectural firm.
That's the first one that's in there?
Goldberg Group, yes.
Yeah.
Goldberg Group Architects.
You
We
know,
just
in looking
abbreviated.
through those, Randy, and you said that that's the one you hadn't had any experience with. their presentation is probably number one.
I don't disagree.
In my thought.
They did a very good presentation. I thought they were, they hit a lot of things
Their
dead on.
presentation to me was ranked number one.
And all three are reputable companies. What background I've done on all three, they are all reputable companies. I think what it really is gonna come down to is comfort with whichever one and just that gut feeling. So, you know how you get that, like, ooh, I really like, I think they're the one. And I think any one of the three would be able to, I'm just not familiar with the Goldberg Group.
But you'll reach a comfort level better with one than you will the other two.
Yeah.
Chances of.
I think you do anyway. I think it's just one of those things that kind of hits you sometimes, like, and see, like for me, I know Trenner Architects, just from when they did our renovation work down at the jail, what, 15, 18, 20 years ago, they did a remodel for us. And so that's the only way I know them. HMN, I know them just from conferences, and some of the other sheriffs have used HMN. Goldberg, I'm just not familiar with, but like you said, I thought their presentation was a very good one and focused towards smaller jails, and
They built a lot of jails.
they did, actually, they have, and they've got, I like the, kind of the group of people they have organized or whatever, and so I think that's where, what they put in a book, that's where, make them expand on it, and, you know, kind of, I don't want to say back it up, but kind of solidify or,
Authenticate.
yeah, authenticate, there you go. Well, those are big words there, my gosh.
You're getting outside my territory.
Yeah, so I think just to validate and authenticate what they're saying in their presentations, and then check references. I think that's always a big thing, honestly, with jails and stuff, or the law enforcement centers, et cetera, is the references. And I think that's where the commission may be able to be of benefit from the, you know, top side on, were they easy to work with, did they, you know, meet their timelines?
Which most of the references, to my opinion, probably should be checked with somebody like you or Mike, because you're already aware to who that sheriff is.
Yep.
Maybe not totally personal, but at least you know him. And you'll get
do it from the top.
You get a better response than what I would if I.
Right. I think do it from the bottom all the way up.
From the commissioner of another county, because the commissioners may have a different experience with that company than the.
Right, because usually the commission looks at it from the financing side, budgetary side. The sheriff's looking at it from the functionality. Did they build what I wanted or what they were told, et cetera? Were they easy to work with? I think and that's why we wanted a full gamut of people to at least sit in on the committee to be able to ask those questions, because they should be on the hot seat. I mean, they should be on the hot seat. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's basically a job interview, so they should be on the hot seat across the board. And I don't know financing and dollars and budgets and all that.
I forget which one of them it was, but one of them had very, very few change orders.
Right.
And I kind of like that aspect. They got it right to start with.
Change orders can bite you in the butt.
I don't like change orders.
Because sometimes I feel like somebody will come in as low bid, but then they hit you with about 20 change orders and they end up being the high bid. And I hate that too. I think, you know, put it out there what you're going to do, how much it's going to cost, and stay with it.
I forget which company it was, but one of them had very few changes.
So, are those dates good, potentially?
Yes, that's Commission Chambers, is it gonna be here, in here?
I think they would want to do it up here.
Bob, was here.
In here.
Yeah, that's what we were hoping
I didn't know
for.
whether this paper came to the Commission Chambers, or whether this is where they were planning on doing it.
Yeah, we were hoping to do them up here. This is set
Mike
up,
intended for it to be in here, what I understood.
set up for it anyway, I think, so. But, we can do it.
Could do. Anything else?
Thanks, man.
All right, yeah. I'll get back down there. We got jury trial going on DUI, so they're still asking questions of the jurors. So it's gonna be a long day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Angie, do you know if we got the check from the insurance company on the Bill Fry tires?
I did not get the check yet. I sent the invoice to them.
Okay.
So we're waiting for that to come in.
I was just making sure that
Yeah.
we're gonna get from them what we're supposed to get
Right.
before we're. Okay.
I visited with Josh one day last week. I came up and visited with Angie and Jessica, and I think everything's put in place, and I think Angie was gonna go ahead and finish all the details, and I'm sure that's all been worked out, so I appreciate that.
So you write the check to GCR and then when we get half what we're supposed to from the insurance company or
Yeah, Tim-
vice versa.
Tim with the insurance said that would absolutely be taken care of, so. Is he gonna send the whole check and then we reimburse him the 2,500, or what did he?
He didn't really tell me.
Originally, that's what it was gonna be. They send us the whole check for the tire and then we reimburse them 25. But that's different than anything I've ever worked with in the past. Either way, it'll come out to be the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else come for the chamber today?
I do have the election book I need you guys to sign. This is the official book record here. If you guys wanna walk around and sign it. There's several pages here, so.
I feel like you need a fancy fountain.
Yeah. That's where you're going down in history. So, we'll start here and we'll go to,
Do we sign or initial?
sign it. That page, you have another sticky, somebody? There, okay. This is the last one, I think.
Okay.
Start here.
You got the big wood a little better.
They come home ready to code and get rid of, where your kids leave.
Exactly, they'll lead them.
That work for this afternoon.
Well, kinda. I, found out my CDL expired in 2017.
You mentioned that the other day. 2017?
My, last DOT physical didn't get filed.
You got some work to do.
Good luck to you.
I passed the general Friday. I took it while I was up there. I failed the air brake, so I need to go back and take the air brake. Then at least I'll have my learner's permit again.
I dropped my CDL a couple years after I left the elevator. They wanted me to drive a school bus to all the events and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was a pretty confident driver, but I didn't want to drive a school bus to the ball game.
done.
I'm gonna double check, make sure we got all in there.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything come before the commission? We'll go ahead and adjourn, 12:08.